Audio check. Audio check.
Nice. Thank you. Good job today.
Thanks.
I think we're on our way.
Huh?
I think we're on our way.
I hope so.
Are you running the traffic on?
What's that?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. If everybody can take their seat, we're ready to start our commission meeting. Everybody, please take their seats. Can everybody hear me? Okay, take your seats. Vice Mayor? Vice Mayor? Vice Mayor good? Okay, welcome to our commission meeting. As you can see, we have a lot of very nice things going to happen tonight. We want to welcome you. If you've never been here before, again, welcome. We are now about to start our commission meeting, so City Clerk, if you'd call roll, please.
Good evening, Commissioner Castillo.
Here.
Vice Mayor Good.
Here.
Commissioner Schwartz.
Here.
Commissioner Seifel.
I'm here.
Mayor Ordus.
Here.
City Manager Dodge.
Here.
Assistant City Attorney Horowitz.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic where one stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank
Oh
you.
my gosh. Mayor, did you hear those beautiful little girls?
I heard them. I heard them.
They did such a good job. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to ask everybody to wish Sam Gorin well. Sam's having little problems physically, and we want him to know that we're all behind him and wishing him well. And then I want to take a moment to have a moment of silence for Sophia Gutierrez, date of birth 8/24/14, a young lady who was killed at Lakeside Elementary. So let's all bow our heads. Thank you. Okay.
Mayor, this is Commissioner Schwartz.
Yes.
I'd like to have a recognition for a moment of silence for a pillar of our community, chamber member Tony Gordon, who fought like hell and to battle cancer. He leaves behind a wife, children, and grandchildren. Tony was a mechanic, a senior mechanic with Air Jamaica. He's been a part of the executive board for the Chamber of Commerce for many, many years. And his loss is profound for our community. I'd like to have a moment of silence, please.
Thank you, Commissioner. Let's have a moment of silence. Thank you. All right. Any other comments? All right, we have a nice presentation. We're gonna have a promotion to Field Training Officer William Sands, currently in the Patrol Division, who will be promoted to the rank of Chief. No, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry, I read it wrong.
Uh-oh, put that mask back on.
All right.
Test, test. All right. Well, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Welcome. Thanks for coming, family, department staff, mayor and commission. We haven't had one of these in here for a while. We've been doing them kind of on our own, but it's always important to the city and to you all to see who your future leaders are and to represent this great department in our great city. So with that, I have one promotion for you tonight, well-deserving, and it's Officer Bill Sands, who is currently one of our field training officers, training all the young guys out there and gals. So if you wouldn't mind coming up and bringing up whichever family members you'd like to bring up.
Congratulations. Sorry, we can't help you. How are you? Are you proud of Daddy?
Let me stand over here so I'm not blocking him. And I'm sorry I have my back to you all. So let me tell you a little bit about Officer Bill Sands. Officer William Sands joined the police department in March of 2013. Accompanying him today are his wife, Nicolette, daughters Lily and Olivia, parents Bill and Debbie, father-in-law and mother-in-law Bob and Ann, his sister-in-law Danielle, and brother-in-law Adrian. Also in attendance is his cousin, Sergeant Brett Werney from the BSO, Broward Sheriff's Office. Welcome. During his career, Officer Sands has served in the following positions: as a patrol officer, as a member of the traffic unit, as a motors officer, as a member of the drive team, as a SWAT team operator, and then as elevation to a SWAT sniper team, and more recently as a field training officer assigned to train new officers of the police department. Officer Sands holds a bachelor's degree in social studies education from Florida International University, and he has completed hundreds of hours in specialized training courses. During his career, he has received numerous department commendations and letters of appreciation from the community. These began at the very start of his career when he ended his police academy training as the Honor Medallion recipient for Academy Class 285. Other noteworthy awards include First Place Novice Award at the 2017 Southeast Police Motorcycle Rodeo. Excuse me. The award for Most Outstanding Operator at the 2019 Broward Sheriff's Office Basic SWAT School, and Officer of the Quarter in 2019. Finally, he is the recipient of the prestigious Life Saving Award. It is with great confidence that I present Officer William Sands to the City Administration and our City Commission, to our Pembroke Pines Police Department family, and to the residents of the City of Pembroke Pines as he enters this leadership role and the rank of Sergeant. Mayor Ortiz, will you please administer the oath of office? Would you like this wiped down? No. All right.
You telling me something? No. Well, thank you, Chief, and thank you for all being here. You know, we have the best police department anyplace, the best, and we say that all the time. If you're not, you don't want to do the crime in Pembroke Pines because you're going to do the time. So, because of officers like Officer Rand, who's now being elevated to the rank of sergeant. So it is my great pleasure tonight to swear you in, officer. And if you just stand right here, raise your right hand. I, William Sands, do solemnly swear and affirm that I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution and government of the United States and the state of Florida, and the charter and ordinances of the City of Pembroke Pines, that I am duly qualified to hold office under the Constitution of the state, and that I will well and faithfully perform all the duties of sergeant in the Pembroke Pines Police Department, which I am now about to enter. So help me God. Congratulations, Sergeant.
Yep, sign your life away. Actually, no, let me have that. Is there somebody you'd like to send your badge? Yes, my wife.
Somebody else come.
Yes. Right. Careful with that. Would you like to say a few words? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chief Charbonneau, and thank you to the City Commission for allowing this ceremony to take place. I apologize in advance for the length of the speech, but I'm the only one being promoted today, so I thought it'd be okay if I took a little extra time. Yeah, thank you. Let me begin by saying that I believe everything happens for a reason. Initially, we may not understand why, but more often than not, we eventually learn the purpose of events that take place in life. Growing up, I never imagined that I would become a police officer, and in college, I studied education in hopes to become a history teacher. But somehow, I ended up pursuing a career in law enforcement. Without doing a single ride-along, or understanding, or even researching entirely what this job entails, I submitted an application. Chief Dan Giustino, thank you for the initial opportunity and taking a chance on another kid from West Pembroke Pines. At the time, the police department was not in a financial position to cover each recruit's expenses, but my mother-in-law and father-in-law, seeing that this could be a huge opportunity for our family, loaned me the money to satisfy the tuition and additional costs for the police academy. They have continued to support me through each transition throughout my career. Ann and Bob, thank you for the jump start into this profession and everything you do for our family. To my parents and my sisters, you are the foundation for what inspired me to answer the calling to service. You have taught me what it means to be selfless, compassionate, impartial, and apply myself beyond my limits. I love you and thank you. Today, I can say proudly and without a doubt that being afforded this privilege and this capacity to give back to the city that raised me has been one of the greatest opportunities of my life. I've had the advantage of encountering and participating in experiences that most people can only fathom through video games, television, or their wildest imagination. In his book, Emotional Survival for Law Enforcement, Dr. Kevin Gilmartin discusses how to overcome the stress that we experience personally and organizationally throughout our career. And while we may feel that we are in control of our job for the most part, there are some things that are beyond the officer's control. That being said, there have been things in my career that I wasn't sure I was ready for, but ended up happening anyway. And there have been times where I desired something, but ultimately was not allowed. But as the saying goes, where one door closes, another one opens. And fortunately, I have some friends that know how to breach a closed door. To my fellow officers, I did not reach this milestone without your help. I want to thank you, my training officers, zone partners, SWAT teammates, civilian support personnel, supervisors, and command staff for your training, knowledge, guidance, and motivation in forging the officer that I've become. And a special thank you to Sergeant Christian Rogers and Captain Adam Feiner for your counseling during my sergeant testing process. People tend to ask me, how does your wife feel about you being a police officer? They've also asked me, how does your wife feel about you being in the motorcycle unit? And how does your wife feel about you being on SWAT? And how does your wife feel about you becoming a sergeant? In all of my endeavors, no matter how challenging on our schedule, our finances, our relationship, or our family, she has supported me, encouraged me, and motivated me every step of the way. From solely providing for our household throughout the police academy when I wasn't receiving a paycheck yet, to sleepless nights during a SWAT call-out, to frequent schedule changes as a new sergeant. I am forever indebted to your unwavering love and support. Thank you, and I love you. To our girls, Lily and Olivia, and soon Lucy. You're both always so curious and supportive about my job. They always ask me, Daddy, how do you like being a police officer? Do you work today? Do you have SWAT training today? How's the sergeant training going? What's in this holster? What's in this holster? Even though they already know what's in that holster. And as they've both been excited for today, and the day got closer on the calendar that hangs in our kitchen, they would say, Daddy, it's almost your sergeant day. Well, girls, it's sergeant day. But I want you to know that no job is more important to me than being your dad. Thinking of you helps me get through some of the most difficult parts of this job, and I promise to come home safe to you every day. Thank you for understanding when Daddy has to go to work. I love you. Occasionally, someone will pat us on the back and say, man, I don't know how you guys do it. For my brothers and sisters and me, it's easy. Police officers will fight not because they hate what's in front of them, but because they love what's behind them. And we know that bravery is not the absence of fear, but the action in the face of fear. So we will pray for peace, but prepare for war, because as George Washington said, we would prefer to suffer in good company than to live comfortably surrounded by delicate men. Chief Shimpano, thank you for instilling your trust in me as I transition into this formal leadership position. I will strive to uphold the mission of our agency as we continue to serve the residents and the visitors of the city of Pembroke Pines. Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes.
I just want to say that seeing a young man stand up and speak as he did about his love of his community, his family, what his family is allowing him to do and helping and encouraging him to do, I will tell you that that is a poster child picture of what our city is and what our city continues to be and what we all fight so hard to have in our city. And we can never say enough, thank you to look at the uniforms that are out here and look at the city employees that are out here that all work so hard to make our city what it is. And we sit up here and kind of like just sit in awe of what you all do. So be that poster child, continue being that poster child for us. We appreciate it. And I will tell you, your parents have to be extremely proud of what a nice young man they have raised.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, I know we're gonna have a interesting meeting, but if you would not like to stay for the meeting, you can exit and we'll give a 5-minute break. Thank you all, good seeing you all.
That's a good way to put it, Mayor.
Yeah, okay.
Mayor,
Yes.
before we move on, take your little break and move on, I wanted to take just a moment if I could. I wanted to do it before, but we had some pretty solemn moments there early on in our meeting, and I didn't want to mess with that a little bit. But something very happy that and is really kind of cool. You know, our charter high school boys basketball team was the state champions last year, and they're on a roll again this year to do very, very, very well. They actually have a game tonight, which I'm sorry that I'm not able to make, but Mark is sitting there cheering them on. But something special with one of our players, Jeffrey Sprouse, who has actually been on the varsity team since the 8th grade. That's how talented this young man is, since the 8th grade. Tonight he's being presented with an award for 1,000 points. Wow. That he has made in his career so far at Charter High School. And I just think that when we can, you know, as we were able to recognize a beautiful police family here, that anytime we can, you know, speak about and present, you know, the good things that our kids are doing out there and the positive that they're doing, we should always bring it to the forefront. So while we're not at the game with you, Jeffrey, we're all saying congratulations and good luck, and hopefully they'll win the game tonight. That would be cool too. So.
And they just came back from Hawaii. They won there.
They did. They were in Hawaii in a tournament, the Iola tournament in Hawaii, and they won, and then they lost by 3 points to the number 3 team in the entire nation.
Wow.
3 points. So excellent play on their part. So we're very proud of them.
Thank you. All right, we now have our charter school student assistance program. Doctor? Yep. Well, no, you can bend that down to you. Yeah, there you go.
There we go. Okay. Good evening. It is my pleasure to talk to you a little bit about the Student Assistance Program. During these uncertain times, our students have been faced with many challenges in their lives that often affect their mental health. In order to address this concern, this school year, the Student Assistance Program, or SAP, was developed to provide much-needed support to the students in the Pembroke Pines Charter School System. Similar to the Employee Assistance Program that is already in place for staff members, SAP was created to support students' mental health needs. Through this program, students in need receive therapy on a weekly basis in our schools. We are appreciative of all of the efforts that Mr. Daniel Rothstein, HR Director, put in place in order to establish this program. So far, there has been an overwhelmingly positive response. The Pembroke Pines Charter School System already had school counselors, social workers, and other professionals in place in order to assist students, and often outside therapy services were also recommended to meet the mental health needs of the students. Unfortunately, families express obstacles when trying to secure outside therapy. Now, with SAP, students can receive the necessary therapy within the school setting. We would like to continue to expand our student assistance program. It is our goal to continue to add therapists to this program in order to obtain a 3% utilization rate, or 1 therapist for every 1,000 students. We're in the process of trying to obtain that goal. We've already started to apply to use grant money for more therapists in order to reach this goal. Before we can address the academic needs of our students, it's important for us to support their mental health. We are thrilled that the City of Pembroke Pines has supported this initiative by employing 2 staff members who are dedicated to meeting this need. They have been instrumental in developing this program. Dr. Laura Cruz, who you will meet soon, is the director of the Student Assistance Program, and she earned her PhD specializing in child and adolescent clinical psychology. She is duly licensed as a psychologist and a school psychologist. And we also have Ms. Chrissia Arias, who earned her master's degree in marriage and family therapy and she serves as a mental health therapist for the Student Assistance Program. It is now my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Laura Cruz, who will share the information regarding the Student Assistance Program.
Congratulations, Dr. Cruz.
Hi, good evening, and thank you so much for this opportunity to present. So I'm just going to share some updates about the development and implementation efforts of the program. Really, the development was in August and September, and implementation probably didn't start till mid-October. So this information is just spanning from October to December. Just a quick overview of how the program was developed. We really modeled this program after the existing RTI approach that's already utilized in the school. That's a response to intervention approach. It's a multi-tiered system of support so that all students get access to behavior and academic support. We thought the same thing was necessary for mental health support. So at that tier one, that green, the way that we reach all students is we decided to provide teachers and staff with in-service training and equip them with the research-based approaches to support the mental health development of our students. We also offer parent virtual talks and mental health tips online. At tier two, we wanted to reach some of the students that are beginning to demonstrate some risk factors for mental health concerns. We do this by offering small group therapy within the schools and also by meeting with teachers one-on-one or going into classrooms and offering support. And then at tier three, that's where we're really targeting the students with the most intensive need. And we're going into the schools and actually providing on-site individual therapy to our schools, working with counselors and administrators, finding the best time to pull those students to give them individual therapy at their site. And we know that without the mental health piece, as Dr. Spirillo mentioned, the academics is not going to take place. So this is really great and innovative. We also work with parents to let them know the progress of their students, and we also screen our students so that we make data-based decisions about their treatment and the support that we're providing them. So here's just an overview of some of the training that the Student Assistance Program has offered to date. Things like evidence-based practices for managing disruptive behaviors in the classroom. And one of my favorite that we've offered is self-compassion. So we surveyed our teachers and found that they were experiencing pretty high levels of stress. And what we know from the research is that when teachers experience stress and burnout, our students actually underperform academically. There's even some research to show that teachers who are experiencing high levels of stress, students experience higher suicide rates. So this was important for us. We collect data, as I said, we like to make data-based decisions. So after we do these trainings, we evaluate and see are the teachers gaining resources and strategies to go back and implement with their students. Not just quantitative data, but some qualitative data. So we can see teachers saying, I love every aspect of this, things that I can use in my life and in the classroom to make sure that we're really making that impact. And then we also keep a pulse on what other trainings our teachers and our educators need to feel supported to continue to provide the mental health support for our students. So that's at that tier one level where we're touching everyone. And then at that therapeutic level, that tier two and tier three level, we're going to streamline our referral process, meeting with all the administrators and counselors so that we could come up with a system where they're the first line of defense. They work with these students, they offer what they have available at their schools. And the students that they feel have more significant mental health needs are then making it onto our SAP program. And what's great about our SAP program is because we have clinicians on staff, we are able to offer evidence-based treatments. Right? We have clinicians, myself and my colleague, with training in therapy such as cognitive behavior therapy, trauma-focused therapy, something we need so much right now in our schools. Even at our group therapies, where you do analyze treatments for grief and loss. And either in the classroom or we go and we're offering evidence-based treatments, things like teacher-child interaction therapy to really strengthen that relationship between the teacher and the child. We adopt a solution-focused approach to therapy, so we're really focusing on empowering our kids for them to get tools to learn how to cope or manage difficult emotions. We also screen all our students, as I mentioned, and our screener really measures their functioning across 3 primary domains. They're externalizing presentation, so that's things like disruptive behaviors, aggression, hyperactivity. We also measure or assess their internalizing function, so those are symptoms related to anxiety or depression, and we also assess their adaptive functioning, so things like social skills and communication. And our students will fall in one of 3 kind of categories, if you will. The green, the yellow, or red, for short. But the green is that compared to other students their age, they're at normal risk. Now, there's no symptoms or problems in any other student. The yellow is that they're elevated, so that there's some risk. The red, extremely elevated, is that they're endorsing a significant amount of concerns in one or all 3 of these domains that I shared. So there's some current data for our program. So as I said, in 2 months since the implementation, we received 129 referrals. These are just referrals from counselors saying, hey, this person needs some extra help, or the administrator requesting. With only 2 clinicians on staff, we're serving 55 students, and 6 have already completed some sort of short term. So we have 52 on a wait list. Those 52 are still continuing to get the traditional counseling supports within their school, or whatever services are available in their school. Here's just an initial overview of screening for 40 of the first referred, so the risk distribution, and you can see that sure enough, counselors are identifying some of those elevated or extremely elevated students that they're referring. This is, I actually just screenshotted and de-identified from our referral database just to share some of the severity and the mental health concerns that we're getting. So you can see some common themes here. A lot of suicidal ideation. When we say SID, that means that the student had a suicide risk assessment conducted. You see things like substance use, symptoms of anxiety or depression, exposure to domestic violence. So you can see some pretty profound mental health concerns that are being referred and that our students in our school sadly are being faced with. This is an excerpt actually taken directly from the manual that we use for our universal screening. And so it's saying that this notion of assessing students allows for early intervention and prevention, right, so that we can mitigate the impact of mental health on social and academic functioning. Something else that we know about the research, is that sadly a lot of children go unidentified. So when I shared those 3 domains with you all, I shared one of them is that internalizing, right? So that more depression and anxiety, that's usually what goes unidentified, right? So counselors, administrators are quick to refer if something occurs, something they see, an incident, but sometimes we miss those students. So what I wanted to see is that was true with our kids in our charter schools. Now what I did was a pilot universal screener. So at the FSU campus, after informing parents, we did a universal screener, meaning we screened all 4th and 5th graders. So a little over 200 students were screened, and what we found out was consistent with the literature. Okay, so out of the 200, only about 6%, so that's consistent, but those were endorsing extremely elevated mental health concerns. And out of those 6%, so about 14 of the students, only 1 of the 14 had already been referred to FAP. So we were seeing 1 and 13 had not been referred. Luckily, by virtue of doing this universal screener, we were able to provide referrals for those others. But that kind of cued us in. What if we were to do universal screeners at all the campuses, right? And that's sort of on trend, I want to say, though, with the national data, right? The Surgeon General recently released an advisory sort of declaring youth mental health a public health crisis, right? And the reason for that is the rates of things like anxiety and depression, sadly, in our youth have have nearly doubled. And even more unfortunate is that trends in suicide in our youth is rising, right? So that's sort of the negative. The positive is that this advisory from the Surgeon General outlines some specific recommendations, and the City of Pembroke plans is ahead of the curve. One of the recommendations is to increase mental health supports in the school, and that's what we're doing. So how wonderful that we've already started this. And the reason being is that the research shows students are youth are much more likely to access mental health supports if it's in school, because that's where they're going every day, right? Rather than being referred to go somewhere else. So there's some alarming data. There's also kind of that silver lining that the City of Pembroke Pines is ahead of the curve in offering this program and this support. So thank you so much for your time this evening and for allowing me to share this information.
Thank you, Doctor. Questions, Commissioners?
Excellent presentation.
Very good.
Thank you.
That's why our students are successful. Well, thanks again. Doctor, did you have anything further? All right. Let's go on with announce some items to be pulled from the agenda. City Clerk?
Mayor,
Yes.
I received a request from a Mr. Rehan Khan that item 12 and item 18 on the consent agenda be pulled for discussion.
Okay. Commissioner Auditor Report?
No report, Mayor.
Appeals of Board and Adjustments decisions?
None, Mayor.
All right, items at the request of the public?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Mayor, I have received a request to speak by Ms. Judith Pritchard, who's here in the audience, and I also received some emails from the public requesting them to be read at the appropriate time during the request to the public.
All right. How about announcement of board and committee appointments?
None, Mayor.
All right, well, let's take up the pulled items first with the two gentlemen.
Mayor, did you wish to do the items at the request of the public, or
Yo,
are you going to?
well, they want to pull that from the agenda. Go ahead, do it at the request of the public. Go ahead.
Okay. Ms. Pritchard, please come forward.
Hello. As you know, you have 3 minutes. Name and address. Yes? No, you got to turn it on. You have to turn it on.
Judith Pritchard, 113 Northwest 93rd Avenue, Pembroke Pines, 33024.
Thank you.
The issue at hand is trash and garbage all over the east side. You're shaking your head, yes, because this gentleman straightened it out once before for me. I am fed up to my little short self with calling code and telling them what's going on. And I actually spoke to a code officer yesterday, and I said, I know that this is not out west. And he said, but it is. Oh, no. I said, we are the abandoned child. And I take offense to the fact that the city has made this beautiful city center with lots of nice plants and everything, and 2 blocks away, I'm still looking at garbage. I actually went down Pembroke Road a few days ago. Bravo was on my right. A lady pulled in, like nothing happened. She pulled in, opened her trunk, took her garbage out, and threw it in the back of Bravo. That is the umpteenth time I have seen that. Number one, they should have a wall up so you don't see what I saw from Pembroke Road. But when I mentioned that to code, he said, oh, no. See that abandoned over there? I said, no. When I go on patrol for COP, I know what I see, because I go north, south, east, west. And his exact words to me was, well, they wanted that. It reminds me of the time my sister used to catch bumblebees in her hand, and my mother said, well, they're going to get stung. One day she did, and my mother said, well, you asked for it. I don't expect to get a reply like that from a code enforcement officer. He later apologized, and then he later said he was on his way down to Bravo to check things out. You don't have to go down to Bravo because I called. You should be going down there on a regular basis and seeing what the heck is going on and stop it. You have all got the email that I sent you, I believe yesterday, with pictures. We went through this when it was Bennett Auto. There were 55-gallon drums out there with food in it and rats. So now, my community, Pine Lake Condos, has to have rat traps out on the property for that very reason, because stuff's been, actually, there's a lampshade there. It's been there for a week and a half. Why is there a lampshade on the sidewalk? Isn't that a tripping hazard? How about the piles and piles and piles of other stuff that's on the sidewalk? And don't bring the children from Pines Middle. They are not going and buying sodas at Walgreens and then throwing it out. That's not happening. Somebody tell me what you're going to do about it.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Pritchard, and thank you for being such a good advocate for our city. Mr. Dodge, what are we gonna do about it?
I will have a meeting with code compliance tomorrow, and we'll address all of these issues.
Appreciate it. Okay, City Clerk?
Yes, Mayor. There were 3 emails that were sent to be read into the record.
All right.
One of them from Ms. Luann Lakova. We have come to find out that due to potential redistricting, Colony Point may be taken out of Commissioner Iris Seipel's District 3 and assigned to another district. As the property manager of Colony Point for 11 years, Commissioner Seipel has been invaluable to our community. Commissioner Seipel is dedicated and invested in Colony Point, as demonstrated by her countless hours of on-site meetings, assisting our residents with supplies and food during COVID, including in partnering with medical providers to bring the much-needed COVID vaccine to our residents. Commissioner Seipel has been a trusted liaison and has provided invaluable advice to me as a manager. Removing Colony Point from Commissioner Seipel's district will be a tremendous disservice to the residents of Colony Point, and by copy of this email, hereby request Colony Point remain in District 3 helmed by Commissioner Seipel. Colony Point strongly urges the Commission not to approve any option that does not allow Colony Point to remain in Iris Seipel's district. I'm also requesting this to be read and made part of the public record. Thank you for your time. That was from Luann Lakova, Property Manager, Colony Point. Another email from Arlene Sargent. I have been a resident of Colony Point for many years and believe Commissioner Seipel has been a great help to our community. She has been coming to Colony Point once a month for many years to keep us informed about our city, and it has been very informative. She has done many helpful things for us, and we are very appreciative of all the assistance she has given us. I, for one, and I know there are many others, would hate to lose Commissioner Seipel as our commissioner. I'm hoping that the Commission will keep Commissioner Seipel as District 3 Commissioner. Please include this email as part of the Commission record. Another one from Linda Berkowitz. We have been informed that due to potential redistricting, Colony Point may lose Iris Seipel as our Commissioner. Ms. Seipel has been our Commissioner for many years and has worked well with our property manager and our residents. We feel that it would be a hardship if we were to be taken from Iris Seipel's District 3. Please consider our request not to make any changes. Thank you for your consideration. That was from Linda Berkowitz of Colony Point.
That's it?
And that's it.
All right, thank you. Before
Thank
we take the items pulled from the agenda by those 2 people that wanted to pull it, I want to, without objection, take item 25 and bring it forward. Commissioner Seipel, item 25.
Yes, Mayor. Let me get there, please. You ready, Mayor?
I'm ready.
Okay. Motion to direct the city administration to negotiate with Wage Pro for use of the blue carts at no additional cost to our residents.
Second by Commissioner Castillo. Go ahead.
Yes, Mayor, I have something I'd like to read.
Go ahead.
And I really, because it has some factual information in it, I really would hope that folks would really pay attention to the items that I'm bringing forward here for discussion. So in response to the residents' discussions regarding garbage pickup, I want to share the following. First, I want to give you a little history. Our old contract called for pickup of 2 green cans for household solid waste and 1 blue can for recycling per week. The old contract was due to expire, so the city put out an RFP for garbage services. There were only 2 companies that responded to that RFP. The cost they proposed for providing garbage services was approximately $50 per month per household, a significant increase from the $23.60 amount that had been being paid by residents. The commission was obviously not happy with that and decided to rebid for those services. Changes were made to the RFP request. Bidders were asked to respond to individual services such as solid waste, bulk, disposal, hazardous waste, etc. The city was then able to determine if it was financially better to contract directly with providers for those services. We were able to determine that that was possible, and by doing so would be able to decrease the proposed increase of cost of those services. As there currently is no market for separated recycling, which all of us are not happy about, but it is what it is, the decision was made to recycle in a different manner and to use the burn-to-energy method. We have contracted with Wheelabrator for that disposal service. Some residents have said that they do not recycle and have no use for their blue bin and would like it picked up. I am requesting the city manager act upon that request. Other residents have stated that while they wish we were still recycling in that classic form of recycling, the total separation, they understand that that is not happening, and now their concern has turned to the issue of volume of garbage that their households are producing, and they need a way to deal with that. After discussions with our city manager and Waste Pro, I am requesting that the 4 times a month blue bin pickup be reinstated for those residents who so desire. For example, if your regular pickup days are Monday and Thursday, your green can gets picked up on Monday, and your green can and your blue can will be picked up together on Thursday using the same truck. No need for a second truck on your street. There would be a cost of $3 per month for that service. In summing this up, we started with our old contract cost of $23.60 per month for 2 green and 1 blue can per week. The exorbitant costs given with the first RFP were rejected, and this decision was made to negotiate with the current vendor and also to contract directly for certain services. The subsequent negotiating that took place led to an increase of only $2.36 per month per household. Quite a difference between the proposed $50 increase that was being brought up forward. If my request is accepted tonight, only those residents who sign up and want blue bin pickup 4 times a month, where there will be a $3 per month increase on your monthly bill, with the total bill still only being about $29 and not anywhere near the almost $50 per month that was originally offered. My request is for blue bins be picked up and cities stored for those residents who no longer desire to have them, and also that Waste Pro reinstate 4 blue bin pickups per month for those residents who request and sign up for that service at a cost of $3 per month. I think this is a common sense solution to a citywide issue. I would now like to hear from our city manager. I'd like to hear from the Waste Pro representative. I'd like to hear from our city attorney on the legality of this change. And then I really want to hear from our residents on their thoughts on how this, what I'm asking for, what their thoughts are about that. So city manager first, please, then Waste Pro, and then city attorney.
City manager?
Yes, Mayor and Commissioner. When Commissioner Seipel put this item on, she had requested some ideas as how, based on the concern she had and based on comments by members of the community, how we could reinstate the blue carts. It was a request that I reach out to Waste Pro. I did have an opportunity to do that today, and I did advise Commissioner Seipel as to what their response to me was. that they would reinstate this program utilizing the same vehicles as you had described it, where they no longer, they would be able to maintain the service level they had before, which were twice-a-week pickup of the 2 large green carts, and the blue cart could be put out traditionally on the day that they were assigned for recycling. The cost of doing recycling in the traditional manner from the bid proposals we got were $10 a month, and that was universal across the board for every resident. The reason for that is they would need to run separate trucks, have a different crew on those days to do the recycling. However, the process we used then ended up with a very, very small percentage of that source-separated recyclables were acceptable as recyclable waste, because the majority what became contaminated because people put things in those bins that didn't belong there. They put liquids in it. There are a whole number of items that did cause a problem. So the city decided, since the best way to do recycling in the majority of cities in Broward do utilize that is waste to energy, which means that by bringing all of our solid waste, residential garbage to the waste to energy plant, it creates electricity, and there's a whole other reasons, explanation. Well, that's really better for the environment than the way we're doing it at the present time. So I did speak to Russell Mackey. I believe Ken is here tonight representing him, and he indicated to me today that it would be $3 a month, and we would have to register, and they'd only pick up the carts of those people who registered. And that's what Commissioner Seipel has brought forward to you this evening.
Commissioner Seipel, comment?
Yes, and I think City Manager hit the nail on the head. That was what I was requesting. That was the information that I was requesting. And I don't want anyone, though, to think that that we're not pro true classic recycling, because we are. I mean, I am. I'm speaking for myself. I am. My husband was a fantastic recycler. He washed out everything, and he only put dry stuff in. He was very, very good about that, because it is an important issue. However, if there are no ways now, or no companies that are so willing to pick up and do a recycling, because there is unfortunately not a market for that out there, that the possibility of not coming up with a plan for this to happen, the waste to energy burn, I would be very concerned that trucks could get driven to the middle of our state and put into landfills, which will then leach into the water that eventually makes its way down to us. And then what are we looking at? I mean, that's a horrible thought for that to happen. So this waste to energy is a defined form of recycling. You're taking a product, you're working with it, and you're coming out with a product, a useful product at the end, which is the electricity. So I do hope that that folks understand that that I'm not speaking saying I want to totally do away with recycling, because the classic recycling. I hope eventually things will change and we might be able to get back to that again. And that's why part of my request was that the blue garbage cans, if you don't want the blue can, the city will pick them up and we will store them. And if that time comes that we do a recycling, we don't have to purchase cans. We have cans and we can redistribute. But in the meantime, those families that had amounts of garbage that would not fit in a green can twice a week and have overflow, they need that third can for overflow. And that's what I'm advocating for. And I know everybody says, well, yeah, but there's more cost. Well, the cost is because, and I would really ask either city manager or Waste Pro to discuss why there would be an additional cost. And the reason that I was told, and I'd like for them to verify, is because while it's the same truck coming and picking up on that day your green and your blue cans. There's now like 35 seconds that's added to that pickup time, because now they're picking up 2 cans. So that either means that they would need to add more trucks in order to still service the areas, or they would have to redesign routes, maybe somehow to take into that extra time that is now required. And if it is trucks, then that's where the cost comes in, and I think that's probably really the answer on why that is. But I do want to stress that the city, I think, has done a really good job at going out for bid for this whole garbage pickup issue. Remember, we sat here at the beginning and we heard 2 companies that, both companies saying, we're close to $50 a month as opposed to your $23 a month. And I think to have negotiated and worked our way down from that $50, which is not ever going to happen, down to, something less than $29 per month for all of the service that you had prior, I think, and judging how other communities around, I know that Palm Beach, Broward, and Dade, there are cities that are paying $48, $49, $50, $52 a month for garbage pickup. And so that's why I say I'm very comfortable asking for consideration of this evening, because I think it does answer a lot of the questions that our folks have. So Mayor, I would want to know if Mr. Dodge or Waste Pro would want to talk about this $3.
Let me call up Kenny from Waste Pro.
Okay.
Kenny, want to come forward? Damien, did you want to make any comment? Okay. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Name and organization, please. You have to put that on. It's like garbage, Just put speak. There you go.
Okay, Ken Rivera with Waste Pro, 17302 Pines Boulevard, Pembroke Pines. Good evening. What's the question?
Well, the question is, Commissioner Seipel just went through a litany of what we want to improve, what's happening out there. We've all been getting nasty emails about why we stopped recycling. And we didn't want to, she just explained why we had to do it. So her proposal is before us. What is your opinion of the proposal before us?
Well, like mentioned earlier, there have been conversations. We were made aware of all the feedback that the community was providing, not only to the elected officials, but to us at our offices and also in city manager's office. So we, put our heads together and we try to come up with a reasonable solution to a problem that pretty much caught everybody by surprise, for lack of a better term. And so I think that the solution in front of you today is an attempt to help the situation and try to have residents continue the habit of recycling and recycling right, which is really what is the whole idea to this. It needs to be clean, and as far as the amount of time it takes, it does take time. Where prior to this new contract, we had additional vehicles to handle that type of volume in the of the stream of recycling, and now it's consolidated into one. So it does take, well, if a truck can go down the street go down the street halfway and have to dump the bucket, now he probably have to do a quarter of the way, because now he's picking up, 2 carts in one truck. So it does have some time, and so, and not to get too technical, but garbage compacts better than cardboard and stuff like that, because they're not as dense. So that's why the additional time and the cost to that. But I think that the uniqueness of this proposal is a good start to, help with the current angst that is created based on the new system.
Okay, thank you. Further discussion?
Yes.
Commissioner Castillo?
Thank you very much, Mayor. As you know, I have not been, that's fine.
Oh, okay.
As you know, I've not been in approval of the city's approach to managing the garbage following the expiration of the contract. we went out to bid, and bid amounts did come in around the $50 range, but you can't compare what those bids were to what we're currently paying now. I mean, that's false on its face, because those rates included recycling, that included bulk, things that we pulled out of the final contract. So we'll never know what those other folks that we went out to market with for, what those other companies, we'll never know what deal they could have put on the table, because we didn't take the time to negotiate them down. What we did was we renewed with the current provider, who's a good provider and who's been with us for a long, long time. And the rate is about 28 or 29, I think it is, Mr. Dodge. What's the rate?
$26.
26. No one in Pembroke Pines thinks that's a bargain, because the level of service that we're getting, and it frustrates them as much as it frustrates us as residents, is woefully inadequate. They don't show up on time. They don't show up on the days they need to show up. We often have to keep our bulk and our trash out on the sidewalk for days. And I'll tell you what the reason is. There's not enough trucks. If we're gonna take and dump at the incinerator. We had Rooter right down the block. That's why Pembroke Pines had this wonderful service for all these years. They can go right down the block and they can empty the truck. Now, they, along with every other company, tell me if I get this wrong, have to go to the incinerator and get online to dump their full trucks there. And when they're done, however long it takes, hour, 2 hours sometimes, depending on the line, then they can come back, drive all the way back to Pembroke Pines from 441 and 595 and resume their route. This is why it's taking so long. Because the policy in Broward County, and some of this in fairness is beyond the direct control of this dais, but the policy of waste management in Broward County is fractured. It makes no sense. Why in the world would we not use Rooter, that's right down the block from us? Why wouldn't Weston and Southwest Ranches and Miramar use that instead of having to drive and compete with everybody else standing on line at the incinerator? It makes no sense. I said it then. And I'm still saying it. But here we are. Now, I had a bet with Armando across the street. He's a great guy. He's retired. Incidentally, he used to be a driver for a waste company. And he says, I'll bet you it only takes one meeting for somebody to come up with the idea that, because the uproar among residents was so incredible, that the city is actually asking us, now think about this, actually asking us, we want you to hold on to this blue bin in your garage, which you can't use. But even though nothing that we did regarding waste management will reduce the amount of waste that you produce, you'll produce the same amount of waste as ever before. But now you have to commingle it in one bin. You can't use, if you should have overflow, if you should have a party, if you have a big family, and the big pickup isn't the Thursday or the Friday pickup, it's the one just after the weekend, because that's when the activity occurs. You can't use that bin. Before I even heard that, I said, nah, it'll take about 2 meetings, I think. This will have to build up. He was right, it only took 1 meeting. Because it made no sense. And I said it 2 months ago. I had this conversation with Mr. Dodge. Mr. Dodge, I told him, those blue bins should be allowed to be used for overflow. It only makes sense. We're asking the residents to store them for free. Why are we asking them to store them for free? Because sooner or later, Broward County has to perform, and we have to go back to recycling. We have to. Perform in what? Years ago, a consultant came to them and said, you need to open up a factory so that you yourself can reprocess your own recycling. Don't listen to anybody that tells you that burning recycling is recycling. That's nonsense. Burning recycling is burning recycling. And if you generate some steam and you want to generate electricity that way, that's fine. That's not recycling. That's not renewable. Recycling is taking the product, melting it, and bringing it back in its original form. You don't magically, burn it into the air and call that recycling. That's not the way to do it. Yet that's what we're being forced. Not we, not just Pembroke Pines. Every other city is being forced to do that. Every other city is being forced to do that. I think we need better answers. I think that we have to demand that the county perform and open up this factory. I think we have to figure out a way to put our foot down and stop the delays and get the bureaucrats to perform for you. The government should work for you, not the other way around. So the first thing is that the $50 thing that we just heard, that's not quite accurate. Those bids would have been renegotiated. Items would have come out of it, just like they did with the Waste Pro contract, and we'll never know what that number would have been, because instead of going through that process, this commission decided to renew. And that's fine. We have a great company. I voted against it, but we will never know what the market would have borne. If we're going to use the blue cans, which always made sense, for crying out loud, use them on the first pickup after the weekend, not the second pickup after the weekend. The first pickup after the weekend is always the busiest pickup. And that's when folks will need the overflow. Use it then. If it costs a couple of bucks more to put your blue can out, that's part of doing business. It's just part of doing business. There should be no apology for it. This is the cost. Folks want their garbage picked up. We are not performing the duty that we need to perform. Garbage cans in bulk is staying on the sidewalks in front of houses for days, because we don't have enough trucks on the road, because the assumption was that they would drop off within 10 miles, because now they have to go all the way down to an incinerator and wait hours online so they can send the truck back. It's not working. We need better answers on garbage, folks, not just here in Pembroke Pines. I'm going to be fair about this. It's every city in Broward. The strategy here is fractured. And rather than talk the party line and not get involved in saying it the way it is, we need to confront this at County Hall and get those folks to perform. There's no reason why we can't be, we have the consultant study, we know what it is that we're supposed to do. We simply have to build the facility and get it done.
This is not my item.
Okay?
Point of concern.
Hopefully when we get to voting on this, there can be an amendment to the discussion, because what residents need is they need the blue bin available for overflow at the first pickup after the weekend, not the second one.
Mayor, if I may.
Hold on.
Mayor, if I may.
Hold on. Thank you, Commissioner Castillo. I'm sorry you didn't watch the meeting today or tune in to the meeting. It was a very good meeting today about just what you discussed. And Vice Mayor, do you want to give a brief dissertation of what happened today at the meeting?
Can I do that a little bit later? Do I need to deal with that now, or can I?
Well, I want to bring this to.
All right, so
what the Commissioner said.
So let's just say that Commissioner Castillo is, speaking, in down the right path, in the sense that we as a county need to come together and create solutions. And so in that vein, so for those who don't know, the county, every municipality has a representation for solid waste disposal. And what has happened is that they have delegated some responsibility to a select group of cities that were chosen by all the other cities to find a solution for a regional solid waste disposal district that would primarily look at certainly recycling. So we are making progress. Matter of fact, I believe the city manager has received a request from the Broward League of Cities to host a countywide meeting with all the cities to address what is the most current version of an interlocal agreement that would be allowing a disposal district to exist where every city would have a seat, a voice, a vote on how that district moves forward. And so that is coming in next month. And so I'm certain that this entire county is going to see more. Again, and Commissioner Castillo, continue to voice, your encouragement to folks to bring their voice to the county level, because we need to make this happen for this particular reason. We don't need to be independent. We can't independently solve the problem. We have to solve it holistically. So as the mayor said, Mayor had participated in the meeting today as well. We are at a conclusion for an interlocal agreement that is going to be introduced to all the cities in Broward County so that we can form a solid waste disposal district that will address some of these problems. It's not going to be tomorrow, but it certainly is on the horizon for us to resolve.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Commissioner Seipel.
Yes, thank you. And I would say that I agree that the county and these meetings that have been going on for this solid waste district are something that does need to happen. But as Vice Mayor just said, none of that is going to happen anytime soon. So my item tonight, which I placed on here, and any of my colleagues that has said that, oh, I said it in the past, we should do Blue Bin stuff, had the same opportunity that I did to put the item on, and they chose not to for whatever reason. I put it on because I'm asking for immediate relief for our residents at a reasonable cost for them, and then let us move on with what gets offered to us at a county level, and we'll see if it's something we like or we don't like at that point. But the issue is right now, our residents need immediate relief with their volume of garbage. And to say that the facts that I presented tonight were not true, that's incorrect. Everything that I said tonight was a true factual statement. So I would just say, I would hope that in the spirit of trying to understand that, yes, going forward, the county does need to come up with a plan, and cities will have to decide if they're going to participate or not, and see what the plan holds for it. But that is going to be, as you all know how county government kind of works, it's going to take a long time, especially if you're going to be dealing with, we have 31 cities that are going to have to get on board and agree to something. I can see that would be a long time in the coming. So my item for tonight was to have approval to go forward and to provide some immediate relief for our residents that are struggling with the volume of garbage at their house, so that we don't have bags sitting out and we don't have it sit there for a long period of time. And hopefully that will help this happen. So I'm asking that my colleagues support this and help us give some immediate relief to our residents on garbage.
Thank you. Commissioner Schwartz, did you want to say something?
Mayor, and just let me know if I'm coming through too loud.
You're all right.
Thank you. I appreciate Commissioner Seipel's item. I do take I want to take a little back step and say that yes, any one of us could have placed the item. However, we've had 4.5 months of a commitment to execute and to test how this rollout was going to be. Certainly, I advocated back in September that we have an immediate rollout to the residents. And I may have included a pilot zone. I don't recall if I made that as a public during a commission meeting, but I certainly had conversations with administration about having the best rollout possible. Now, this garbage about going to Rooter, going to Wheelabrator, that's only been going on now for 10 days. That vote was unanimous. The vote to go to Wheelabrator was unanimous, and that was 2 readings, not just 1. The Waste Pro contract, that passed 4-1. So to penalize a vendor for where the garbage is going to be taken doesn't make any sense. To not recognize that COVID has wiped out the vendor, has wiped out the mechanics, has wiped out the drivers, quite honestly, is beneath the level expected of the leadership of this commission. With respect to the $3, I have advocated for more than a year about getting more people to participate in the waste stream. Commission decided to leave portions of our community out of the total cost. Now, to ask residents to pay anything more is wrong. $3, $8, $10, $12, it's wrong. That cost should have been absorbed by having the entire city participating in the waste collection. Now, I have the item at the next meeting that's going to save our 38,000 residents who are participating in this program at least a 5% discount next November if this should pass at the next meeting. Getting back to this item, I've spoken with the vendor, I've spoken with the administration. Certainly we were going to have challenges on a rollout. The item itself, Commissioner Seipel, doesn't reference a $3 cost. So this blindsided me, to be honest with you.
Yep.
The item on the agenda and the item for the public is to give the administration an opportunity to negotiate with the vendor and come back with something. I don't think that it is unreasonable for us to ask the manager to find a way that there's zero cost to our residents. As far as the bin storage, absolutely. There are residents who are saying, if we're not going to use it, get it out of my house, get off my property. I totally agree with them. But when you take 38,000 cans at 4 square feet, you have 120,000 square feet of storage. So the question is, to the city administration, where would that go? How's it going to be maintained? So, Commissioner Seipel, if your item is to ask the city administration to come back with something, I'm all for that. But to bind the rest of the commission on a number that is not in the backup, I think is unfair. I think there are, based on my item back in December, there's been some significant progress made with those negotiations, and I'll let the manager bring that back in February, where I believe that the residents are going to find a savings. So, Mayor, that's really where I'm at. I do know that for the most part, there's one other comment. To say that there's garbage in the streets and delays being picked up, that's absolutely true. But the administration has been giving us updates on a daily basis as to why. Don't go on social media and make the city look like garbage for political gain. We are supposed to be working together as a unit. And certainly I can see the majority of us doing that. So, Commissioner Seipel, it's your item. I think the appropriate motion, and it's already been seconded, so I don't see a need for a substitute or amendment, is to give the city manager the opportunity to negotiate and bring it back in February. It will be right in line with the other item that's already being prepared as a part of a public hearing. So if you can do that, I can support you.
Yeah, may I
All right.
respond?
Hold on. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. Commissioner Schwartz, the the reason that the item, and I agree with you, and it was not intended to be any kind of a blindside, was to get an item, a placeholder on the agenda so that we would have it for this week, and we were not able to get any of the discussion numbers prior to that, but I didn't want to lose out on having an item on the agenda. So I do apologize if you think that it was a blindside attempt. It clearly was absolutely not. It was a timing and getting a place on the agenda, which we've all faced that from time to time, getting on the agenda timely. The issue of the blue cans, there would not be 38,000 blue cans, and they would not be placed side by side. They would be stacked on top of each other as they always do. But remember, the ones that I'm only asking that would be picked up blue cans would be for any of those residents who are asking for that don't want to recycle, that don't want the can at their house, don't want to store it in their garage, and they're saying, come and take it away. The others that want to utilize this blue can for overflow garbage would sign up. There would have to be some sign up, which is what part of the discussion with city manager as to how all of that would happen. They would have to sign up. There would have to be some sticker, some type of indication on their blue can that they are a participant in the program and that the truck should pick them up.
Let's see where the item goes, then we can delineate.
Well, they're asking questions about how would you know and how would it get picked up and all that. So again, not in the
If I may, for clarification, ma'am, follow up with Commissioner Seipel.
Real quick, Commissioner Schwartz.
Okay, so we need to plan for 38,000 cans. Okay, if we have people who keep them, then that's just less than 38,000. But you have to plan for the worst case scenario. The residents who elected me, they don't want to pay any additional money.
They don't have.
Period. So if it's a matter of utilizing the blue can for the normal waste stream, they'll certainly support that. Therefore, I support it. But I'm not going to tell a resident that they have to spend more money on a can that they already have. That's not who we are. We had 4.5 months.
Commissioner, not to interrupt, but the issue, again, the issue is when we were negotiating this contract, we all sat up here and negotiated with no recycling, and that was the cost that was quoted to us because there was not the market for that. This is clearly, I've had people that have asked me this question, and they've said, well, you know, if need be, I will ask for another green can. Well, a green can's going to cost them $8. So why would they do that?
Right, which I also
why
find
would they
to be
do that
offensive.
when we have an item that says you can have a blue can for $3 and you can have 4 pickups for it? It doesn't make sense. So again, this was an option that I'm putting out there to give immediate relief to our residents on overflow trash garbage that they have, because we need to give them some relief while things are worked out.
Let's see where the item goes.
Okay.
Further discussion on item 25.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Leave the motion, please.
25?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I didn't get a chance.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you. Okay.
No.
Go ahead.
No, I just want to make it clear that, you know, I support Commissioner Seipel's bringing this forward. This is a very important issue, and I think that, you know, truth be said, we probably should have had this conversation in a very, you know, prior to awarding the contract. You know, this is really about a volume issue as you speak. I mean, we understand. I think we went ad nauseum with the recycling. I mean, if you want more, I can give you more, but I think we'll just let it go. Nevertheless, though, recycling, you still got to get rid of it. It still is a volume. It still takes space. And I don't think that we took that into consideration, and we should have, you know, and so we're doing it now. So, hey, that's fine. At least we're addressing it now. I really appreciate you bringing this back because it is impacting some people. And it's not impacting everybody. There are some people out there that will tell you, listen, I'm half full on the green bin, you know, and that's true. You know, I'm an empty nester. I'm half full until my kids come home. Then I need the blue bin probably. But the reality is that there are families out there that, you know, did recycle. It was a benefit to them because they, you know, have, you know, more than others. And so creating a solution, I think, is very, very important. And I think the solution, Commissioner Seipel, you identified it. It's right before us. Everybody's got the blue bins. You know, let's go ahead and try to find a way to utilize it so those families that have large volumes, you know, they didn't change their behavior. You know, so let's serve them like we did. You know, and because we didn't go through this process in the very beginning, I guess we didn't talk about some of the financial impact. And I think that's what we're trying to deal with now, because there is a real cost associated with this. Now, I will say, and to be very honest, you know, I'm assuming that the cost that was presented was predicated on the fact that everybody is still using the blue bin. I don't think everybody's going to still be using the blue bin. So I just wonder if there's just a little bit more room to tweak the numbers. You know, $3 right now, I understand that, but maybe there's room to tweak it a little bit more, because personally, just from some of the information that I've seen, and just, you know, from my rough calculations, I can't see no more than a third of the people that are being served actually needing the blue bin. So I support your item, Commissioner Seipel. I think it's you know, it's the solution. I also would ask that we ask the city manager to find a way if he can negotiate that a little bit better. I don't know if that number can be tweaked, but it's certainly, I'm hopeful that it can be tweaked a little bit more, and that we at least have the solution for those families that are in need of this additional service. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Mayor?
I'd like to make an amendment
Mayor?
if I could.
Commissioner Seipel, you want to make an amendment?
I do, Mayor.
Go ahead.
I'd like my motion to be to direct city manager to negotiate a blue bin solution for residents with Waste Pro to include the legal language for the contract, cost, and a time frame for this happening.
Second.
All right, second to the amendment. All right, let me just say that, sorry?
I can
Let me
support
just-
that.
Commissioner Schwartz, I'm talking.
Yeah, he said he can support that.
Okay, good. You already had your to say. Hang on. I just want to say I want to support the item. This is not easy, folks. If you think it is, just look at it. It is not easy. And when you say, Vice Mayor, with all due respect, they only use a half a can, you'll never know that. You'll never know how many people, and you can drive around and you see loads of garbage in cans, and some don't. Some put it out way before they should, makes their neighborhoods look bad. We're trying to alleviate all of these things. The amendment, I think, helps. So is there any further discussion?
Yes.
On the amendment?
Yes.
On the amendment, Commissioner Castillo.
Thank you very much. So I agree with what the Vice Mayor just said, and but I don't think it's going to be a third, Vice Mayor. I think I'm thinking in my own community. I live in a small community. They're all large homes. There are many large families that live in my community, and I'm thinking out of 136 homes, as I say, it's a small community of large homes, maybe 20 would have on a regular basis an overflow issue because they have 7 or 8 people living there, which the houses are built for that. However, the Monday after Thanksgiving,
On the amendment, Commissioner Castillo.
there will be maybe 70. So this will change, and the day after Christmas, there may be 100. It depends on the date so at any given time, just about anybody can have that overflow issue.
In my home, hardly ever would I have, I can't think of the last time, unless I cleaned out a garage, that I had both bins needed, where I couldn't commingle, even during recycling when I separated my waste. So, it just depends on when. I don't know about this 35-second thing. I'm more concerned about the hours that we're wasting at,
On the amendment?
This is not on the not on the amendment,
So, that's
on
what
the
my
amendment.
concern is.
not on the amendment.
Thanks.
All right. On the amendment, city clerk, call the roll on the amendment, please. Public, did you want to, hold on. Public, I think we've discussed a lot. Did you want to speak? Okay, Mr. Card? Okay, you're next. Why don't you come down and just form a lineup so I know who's, you got 3 minutes. Need your address, name and address.
Steve Card, 1120 Southwest 87th Avenue, Pembroke Pines. A lot of discussion tonight. Commissioner Seipel, I really do, and Commissioner Good, and Mr. Mayor, who probably regrets giving me his phone number because I usually get a hold of him when that trash doesn't get picked up on time. I really greatly appreciate you bringing this up because it is all about volume. Not to downplay recycle, as you said, but it is all about volume. I think giving us an option of being able to say whether we individually want to pay extra to have it done versus having no option of having our trash picked up is right on key. Mm-hmm. Because you're not charging anybody that doesn't want to do it that extra fee. So if that's what it takes, I would ask that you guys support that. Because then that gives each resident the right to be able to deal with their household. So I appreciate that. My biggest short here, Snoopy, nope, not today. Was bulk picked up on time today? Nope, not today. Bulk is still sitting on the street. And you guys heard me in this past week about the trash not being picked up on time, the regular trash. So thank you.
Thank you. Remember, everybody's individual need is everybody's individual need. You'll never know until you go pick it up. Yes, name and address, please. No, you have to put speak, push, there you go.
Hi, I'm Vacanti, 16514 Segovia Circle.
Hi.
You said that you talked about recycling ad nauseum. I got a flyer on my door today. Other than when I put my blue trash can out on whatever, the first time after the 1st of January, that was the first I was aware of this. I got nothing through the mail. I'm very religious about checking everything in my mail. I never knew anything about this. Like you said, you get angry emails. Yeah, I'll bet you did. I put a post up on Nextdoor just to ask people what they thought, and 89% of people said yes, Pembroke Pines should reinstate recycling. Yep. So I don't think ad nauseum for recycling is an issue. There was one woman, in fact, who moved here and was devastated to find out that this had happened. She's moved to a community that doesn't recycle. I don't have children, but I'm sure many people do, and telling the children to put everything in the trash now, I don't think that's the way to go. Yep. So please try and find somewhere, and we've tried to find somewhere to put our recycling, can't find anywhere. No one wants our recycling. Really? In 2022 in America, nobody wants our recycling? We can't recycle? It's insane. So please find something for us to do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Hearing no further discussion, call a roll on the amendment, City Clerk.
Commissioner Seipel?
Yes.
Commissioner Castillo?
Yeah.
Vice Mayor Good?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz?
Yes.
Mayor Ordus?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, now on the motion as amended. Go ahead, City Clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner Seipel?
Yes.
Commissioner Castillo?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Good?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz?
Yes.
Mayor Ordus?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, before you roll on?
Well, let me just say one thing.
Sure.
And again, I'm asking from the dais of this commission. We are trying, folks. I certainly like to recycle. We are trying. I don't think we deserve the nasty emails that we get. Some of them are really dirty. Personally labeled at some of us. I don't think that's the right way to go. We are opened up for discussion. We are always trying to find answers. This is not an easy subject, trust me. Vice Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I would just like to also just to dovetail for a moment here, because, you know, recycling is a very challenging issue in this county. We're trying to get through to it on a regional level. But until then, is there, I'd like to ask if we can give the manager some direction in terms of looking at maybe creating some recycling drop-off centers, you know, throughout, you know, maybe, you know, one on the east, one on the west, or
Manager?
something of that nature.
That,
Manager?
We certainly can look at it, Mayor.
Point of information?
Mayor, that was one of the, issues that I'd had discussions with city manager about for him
Okay,
to be able
good.
to bring back.
Good.
And
So
Point
you-
of information.
Commissioner Castillo, point of information.
So let's say that we created these drop-off centers or MRFs or however it is that we want to refer to them. So after we drop the recycling off there, what would happen to them? They would go to the incinerator, right?
If I may, Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
So the answer is no.
Okay.
One of the reasons why recycling has become a huge problem is because there is a substantial amount of contamination in the recycling today. If we have a drop-off center and that, you know, it's more pure, then it goes directly to whatever that product is, the recycling center for that
So
product.
why don't we do that now?
Because
Why don't we do that, why don't we do that at every home and spend time getting every home to not contaminate the recycling, to wash it the way it's frankly done in my house as well, and to do the quality control at Rooter, which is what it was created to do, and we can go back to recycling. I mean, if there is a market for the clean recycling, that's fine. I think that we should work on clean recycling. We stopped recycling because we were told there was no market for it at all. And if what we're gonna do is create drop-off points that give the appearance of hope of recycling, and then from that drop-off point, it goes to the incinerator, that's actually adding work to folks. So I'm okay with drop-off points. Frankly, I would prefer to get every home to recycle properly and restore recycling.
Okay.
So I'm gonna need to see what the answers to that are.
All right.
Because if we go to drop-off sites and it goes to the incinerator, people are gonna be very pissed off.
All right, Manager, you have direction, correct?
Yes, Mayor.
Okay. Thank you all. Let's go to the pulled items, City Clerk. Thank you all.
As stated earlier, Mayor, item 12 and item 18 were items that were requested to be pulled for discussion.
All right, we pull item 12.
Mayor, were you asking us for items?
What's that?
You were asking us if we had items to pull?
No. Two companies wanted to pull items, 12 and 14.
Right.
I am now
12 and
asking
18.
them to come forward. 12 and
Okay.
18.
But you haven't asked us yet if we have any pulls?
I have not.
Okay, thank you.
City Clerk, call whoever it is, come on up first. Identify yourself, please.
Mr. Rayhan Khan of Accordis International Corp.
Mr. Khan, you have 3 minutes, sir, but we need your name and your address, please. You need to put
What
the mic-
item are we on?
We're on item 12. Put the mic on. Just put speak. There you go.
Good evening. My name is Rayhan Khan. I'm the president of Accordis International. I'd like to thank you and take this time to share with you who I am and what I've done, and why the city of Pembroke Pines is so important to me. I'm a father of 3 children. My children has gone to Pembroke Pines Elementary and Pembroke Pines Charter. They have certificates from Mayor Ortiz, as well as those little clips that I still look at them. And it's a reminder that I feel very privileged to live in the city of Pembroke Pines since 2004 to 2020. As a business owner and as a taxpayer from 2004 to 2020, I expect city to consider what I've requested in my emails and in my appeal protest. that this agenda number 12 motion has been amended over and over and over. Mr. Mayor, we had the discussion in the elevator in 2019 when we met with the purchasing department. And we walked downstairs and we discussed this agenda. From 2015 to 2019, the instructions the manager has given in the email that I have substance that this, at the expiration, this copy bid will go out for bid. From 2019 till 2021, it took 2 years for procurement to come out with the bid. The amount of dollars that you have spent that I pay from my hard-earned money as a taxpayer is double that what I have offered to you guys as a new contract. With this amendment, I will be further spending more taxpayer dollars when I have a bid at hand that can save taxpayers the dollars instead of going and constantly paying more additional dollars and renewing a contract that is expired in 2020 and now forcing it without going to bid and simply expanding it and have taxpayers take the burden. My request to you is to go with the bid that saves taxpayers money, either go month to month on this contract and simply go on a monthly basis till you get the right equipment that city can benefit.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Commissioner, City Clerk, the next item?
I have a question. Mayor?
Were you on with that item? Yeah, I'm your item 12?
Yes, I'm with Toshiba Business Solutions.
You come up. I asked if anybody else wanted to speak, I'm sorry.
I have a question when the time comes.
Okay. Hello, you need to push the button, and you have 3 minutes.
Yes. How are you?
Name and address, please.
Hello, Pauline Gregory with Toshiba Business Solutions. The reason this is on its 4th renewal is because we were upgrading the equipment at a lower price, and then Mr. Khan wrote a letter which halted everything. We were able to upgrade the charter schools, and then it had to come to a halt at that time. So that's why it's been going on a renewal.
Okay.
So that's just what I wanted to say.
Okay.
It wasn't as if there wasn't a process in place or
Thank
we
you very
didn't have
much.
good intentions.
Anything further on item 12?
Yes.
I'm talking about the audience. This is not a motion in front of us yet. Is there anybody else want to speak on item 12? All right, let's pull up item 18, City Clerk. Was it 18?
The next item was
50.
item 18 that they had requested.
Okay, item 18. Who's here to speak on item 18? You on 18 as well? Oh. Come on forward. Go ahead. You know the drill.
Hello again.
Hi. Put your button on again. Push the speak button. Speak button. No, go down and push the speak button. There we go. No, you pushed it off. There you go. Don't touch it. All right.
Thank you. Well, I think you need to reset the clock.
I'll watch the clock. You just
Okay.
pick.
You got it. Thank you. So, the item 18, the RFD TS 2104, that was a bid. We participated. We firmly believe we won the bid. Because of our pricing we negotiated from the manufacturer, we offered a price that is absolutely, we believe that they have the best price in the nation. The bid was rejected. The reason for rejection is a bit awkward. The city has never done co-terminus leases, has never exercised that option. The owner of co-terminus means that if I want to lease a vehicle for 12 months, you will pay 3 times to 4 times more for leasing that. The bid was rejected. We filed an appeal. We requested public records information. From 2019, this bid was in limbo. Instead of moving forward, we offered a solution to, in addition to add additional machines, we offered free of charge machines to city instead of going to a co-terminus leases, which would cost city more money. Not only that, the fact sheet has been sitting in a sanitarium every day, and all the interest rates are going up. So how can you ask me to give you a rate factor or an interest rate from 4 years from today? So my question is, this bid that we submitted has gone through circles, it is the lowest bid that needs to be considered. It's in the best interest of the city, that I want the commissioners to take this initiative and get this thing back on the agenda. There are some substances that it appears that there are administrators in this department, in procurement, as well as IT, have appears as colluded giving more prices to Toshiba. I know it's public records. I will ask Gabriel to come and talk about my bid. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody further on item 18? All right, no one further. All right, let's go to items that have to be pulled. Items 1 through 19. What is your pleasure?
I'm gonna have to pull 12 and 18 so that I can ask my question.
Okay. Let's go to
Item
12 for Commissioner Castillo. Let me get there.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to.
Hold on, I'm not there yet. Castillo. Item 18. Castillo. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, I'd just like to pull items 2 and 16.
2, Vice Mayor.
2 and what?
Item 16.
And I'm pulling 3, Mayor.
Hold on, I'm not ready yet.
I'm sorry.
I will call you.
3?
Okay, Commissioner Seipel?
Item 3, please, Mayor.
3. Any others? Commissioner Schwartz, do you have any items to be pulled?
Thank you, Mayor, I do not.
Okay. All right, let's go to approval of items 1 through 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, and 15, 17, and 19. Need a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Castillo. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Seipel. Discussion. Call a roll, please.
Commissioner Castillo?
Yeah.
Commissioner Seipel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Good?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz?
Yes.
Mayor Ordus?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, item 2, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item 2, motion to approve the 8th Amendment to the purchase and sale agreement with Terra World Investment LLC.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Castillo. Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Yeah, can we ask staff real quick to just kind of give a brief,
Mr. Dodge, who would be the
explanation what
one?
this is?
Mr. Stam?
Mr. Stam.
Good evening, Mike Stam, Director of Planning and Economic Development. Mayor, Commissioners, Vice Mayor, before you tonight, we have the 8th Amendment to the Agreement for Purchase and Sale with Terra Group. As you all know, Terra has developed approximately 41 acres out of the 47 acres that they initially put under contract. This proposal is to redevelop the old City Hall, as well as a vacant lot next door to it. In your backup, there is a conceptual plan showing that they're proposing to do medical office or medical use on the the old City Hall parcel. They put restrictions in here in terms of square footage. I believe it's 120,000 square feet. And on the southern piece, they're looking at approximately 120 to 150 age-restricted housing units, or 80% of those would be age-restricted housing units. The uses that they're proposing are consistent with what was already approved on the plat. We will have to do a plat note amendment should this be passed. The plat note amendment would just kind of reorder the puzzle pieces. So we don't have to go through a land use to approve the new units. The units were already approved on the parcels. The office use is already there. The previous approval was for a gas station. The commission approved the contract for a gas station, a self-storage building, and a hotel. I know the commission really spoke strongly about the idea of a hotel. Tara, after the last meeting, Marlene put up the schematic here. Tara talked to their hotel developers. I talked to hotel developers that we have worked with. This site is not very conducive to a hotel. The hotel units will stay on the city center plat, so should a time come that a hotel works, we can always go back in and reprogram and fill in a parking lot like we've done many, many times over the years. But at this moment in time, the hotel is not a use that is conducive to the site. So this proposal would be to bring in medical use, senior housing. As you all know, Marlene, if you could pull the screen down just a little bit. So medical is on the old City Hall. The commission has already approved the development of an assisted living facility directly on the corner of Palm Avenue there. So this whole idea of medical, ALF, senior housing kind of flows together. The developer has given us terms. They're going to reimburse us for the demolition of the old City Hall. That's written into the contract. The developer is also going to pay towards up to $450,000 towards traffic improvements on Palm Avenue, which may include a traffic light. Again, we've already done warrant studies for the traffic light at 7th. So
Mr.
we
Mealy took care of that one.
Say again?
Mr. Mealy took care of that traffic.
Well, that money kind of disappeared, so we've got a new funding
Sorry to
source.
interrupt you.
Sorry, sir. That money, we have, that money's changed, but we've got a way to pay for some of those. They're also going to be putting $450,000 towards traffic improvements on Pines Boulevard, which could also be for a traffic light at 106th. They're paying for pavement and traffic markings, and they're reimbursing us some traffic credits that were in the previous deal, again, just being carried over. So this deal makes us whole. As another note, as part of the contract, they're proposing to give us $500 for every unit that is approved as part of the senior housing project towards affordable housing. And in addition to the purchase price per acre, the developer is proposing $4,500 for every unit that is approved on the housing component. So what we've brought before the commission tonight is a deal that is more per acre than many of the other projects that we've done here. Staff has looked at this and discussed it with administration. We feel that this is a good way to finish up the project. The medical use is another job-creating use that'll help our city center. And we also get money towards traffic improvements and other items that'll make our city center better. So,
Vice Mayor?
Vice Mayor, I hope that answers some of the questions.
It did. Thank you very much, Mr. Stam. I do appreciate that. So I agree that hotel was something that we would really like to have, particularly at this location. But I do understand the dynamics behind it. I do, Madam Clerk, if you could just go back down to where you were. I just want to talk right there. That's good. I just want to kind of zero in a little bit on the traffic improvements or so this intersection right here on Palm Avenue, I see you got a right in, right out only going, looks like going into the medical center. Is that correct?
So, Vice Mayor, what I've asked the developer to do is to put together a concept plan. Obviously, we'd still review individual site plans. One of the things that I asked them to look at, we know that we can't get a traffic light at that intersection. It's too close to Palm Avenue. So if you look at this plan, one of the things I want you to notice, where that right turn in only, that was the old entrance to our old City Hall. If you look at the plan, I've asked them to move the entrance, the main entrance to the medical, as part of this concept plan, further west away from the intersection, so that it would improve traffic movements near the intersection. The developer has, they're in agreement with us that this would be the best way to move forward. When we approved Providence Living site plan, and Providence Living is the one that's already gone through the entire process, they're going through their permitting phase right now. If you see where the entrance is located, that center entrance moves a lot of the traffic away from that Palm Avenue intersection, which we all know is a very tough intersection.
So, yes, so I do believe that at that intersection of Palm Avenue then, I was speaking about the medical center. Thank you for moving that further, if it can go further west, because there is a substantial amount of traffic now using this roadway, and I'm certain there are going to be more as people find that route. The intersection at Palm Avenue, though, I'm not interested in a light. I understand it's way too close already to Pines Boulevard. However, that is an extremely hazardous intersection as it is, because people coming out of the shopping plaza do a lot of very risky maneuvers in order to be able to make a left-hand turn to go south on Palm. And the people that are coming out of the complex make a very risky maneuvers to make a left to go north onto Palm Avenue. So certainly in the traffic improvements, I believe is Palm Avenue a roadway that the city owns, or is that a county road, or is that what?
It's my understanding it's a county road, and Vice Mayor, if I could expand on one of the things, when we've done our warrant studies, and Carl can speak a little bit more to this, and we believe that if we can get the traffic light at 7th, by the way, we have a new owner of the apartments to the south of this. They want to participate in that traffic light also. They've already told us that. We believe that if we can get a traffic light on 7th, when that traffic light goes red, it'll provide some relief for not only people leaving from your community, the Tanglewood area and the apartments, but also provide relief for people utilizing this intersection, because that'll be that moment of respite, because as you know, someone who drives that road all the time, people heading north from Pembroke Road tend to accelerate because there's no way to stop the traffic.
Sure.
Vice Mayor, can I interrupt you 1 minute? Vice Mayor? Remember that 1,100 feet is what the county requires for a light. You can always get a warrant for approval of a traffic light, and just a little lobbying for the county.
Yeah, we're in good position on the 7th, I believe, right now.
I haven't gotten there yet. You keep referencing it, but I'll get there in a minute.
I know.
I can tell you, though, that even what you just expressed about a light at 7th, I spend every day on that road. And there are certain times of the day where that traffic backs up at that light to 7th. So stopping the traffic is not going to stop the problem at that intersection, because that intersection does not clear with the timing of the light that goes at northbound, or even the turn lane to go westbound on Pines Boulevard. It is a lot of congestion, and there's nothing more that can be done to it, unfortunately. You can't change the timing of the lighting, because then you'll have problems on Pines Boulevard, right? So we understand that. So I still think that it's very important, and I'm going to stay focused on that intersection being reconfigured in such a way it's only right in, right outs on both sides, because it is a huge hazard. And I think that is, and because you're going to build more reason for traffic to come to that intersection, I think that needs to be addressed. The light at 7th, by the way, I be honest with you, I can't take anything. You keep using the word may, and I know that if I decide to go in the archives of these commission meetings, this commission had a unanimous, not a may, do it. Install the light at 7th. It's still not done. And of course, we got responses like, oh, we're looking at this great traffic plan, this, that, the other, yay, money went away, we're trying to find the money. But you got the money now, and we gave it a direction to do it. I'm really seriously expecting that it's to be done, not a may. So I'm just sharing that, that's not directed to you, Mr. City Manager. Again, it's just a reiteration of a direction that was unanimously approved by this commission, almost 2 years ago now, to install that light. It was to install the light. And we can go back. You guys can take a look at the records. I remember very clearly because this is a huge issue for this community that lives here. The safety, not just the historic community, but the new community as well. So, again, I just want to reiterate the opportunity. I thank the applicant for making those monies available for the traffic improvements, but that light at 7, I certainly really am going to expect to see that gets installed.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Further discussion on item 2.
Yes.
Commissioner Castillo.
Wasn't the police station gonna go there? Where's that going now?
We have not located the appropriate site yet.
Okay, but that's still in the plan?
At this location, no, it's not.
No,
The site's not
but
large
it's still in the plan to build the...
Oh, absolutely,
The
absolutely.
police and new station, you're gonna have to figure out where else.
Well, we're researching different locations that are large enough.
Okay. This parcel's about 3 acres.
Discussion. Item 2.
This parcel's about 3 acres. We've looked at other sites that are a little bit larger.
Okay.
Further discussion. Just, if I could ask a question,
Yes, sir.
could that ugly building come down like tomorrow?
Well, the commission approved the demolition. I believe Public Services is working on it.
Good. All right, let's call the roll, City Clerk.
Vice Mayor Good,
Yes.
Commissioner Castillo,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz,
Yes.
Commissioner Seipel,
Yes.
Mayor Ordus,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you. We're now at item 3, Commissioner Seipel.
Thank you, Mayor. Motion to approve the findings and recommendation of the Evaluation Committee and to award RFP number AD-21-02, Disaster Debris Management Services to Crowder Gulf Joint Venture, Inc. as the primary contractor, and to form a pool with the following contractors in the order of their ranking. To D&J Enterprises, Inc., 3, Ceres, I think is how you pronounce it, Ceres Environmental Services, Inc., 4, TFR Enterprises, Inc., 5, Eastern Waste Systems, Inc., 6, Southern Disaster Recovery, LLC, and 7, KDF Enterprises, LLC, which may be called upon to replace the primary contractor as a whole or to supplement the primary contractor as needed.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by the Vice Mayor. Go ahead, Commissioner Seipel.
Thank you, Mayor. The reason I pulled this was I wanted to ask a couple of questions. I know that we had an incident in the past where we had a company that was awarded the debris removal management services, and the whole project didn't really work out well, and we ended up, I believe, if I'm correct, that we ended up having to utilize other companies to do that. And so I know that this is just for the debris management services portion, but that's a huge portion of it. And so I want some assurance, because when I looked up the companies that had responded, there were 7 there were 10, I guess, that responded, 3 of which 2 were non-responsive and 1 withdrew. So that left 7 of them. And they're all pretty far from here. And that was some of the issues that we had, I believe, before, not just with the debris management portion of it, but then how that plays into the actual equipment and all of that. So my concern is to city manager, I guess it would be city manager, to make me feel a little bit more comfortable about, how this has happened, and that I know we can't predict the future, but that we are in a good spot that should, number one, not be able to do the job that I know it said that we would form a pool with the following contractors in the order of their ranking. So I'm assuming then that if 1 goes out, we automatically go to 2. But I think the language saying that we're going to form a pool means that they would all be thrown in there together, and whoever could provide the service would be there, not necessarily in the ranking in which they were given. So just some clarification maybe on that part of it, and then some reassurance that we're in good shape.
City Manager?
I have Mr. Gomes addressing.
Mr. Gomes.
Good evening, Mark Gomes, Procurement Director. Thank you, everyone. Good question. First of all, Crowder Gulf, you may recognize the name. We used Crowder Gulf during Hurricane Wilma. Back in 2005, I think everyone thought that was a good process, and everything worked out well. So did perform well in the past. Like you mentioned, the city did award a pool of contractors, including a primary and a ranking of firms. In the bid package, as approved by the commission, which we went through some workshops and tweaked the package to your direction, we included language that allows the city to implement and bring multiple vendors in at one time. You could bring the primary with the secondary and tertiary vendor, or we could, all depending on the size of the storm and what's going on at that moment. So the public services manager, as the contract manager for this project, would meet with them, and he would meet with the vendors on an annual basis as well, starting in, I believe, May, based on the bid package. So it would be constant communication with all of the firms as needed.
Well, so I get what you're saying, but there's like two components to this whole debris issue, right? There's the debris management services, which is the one who stands on the tower and watches and does all of this stuff. Is that not correct? And then we have the actual debris company that has the equipment and the workers. Is that not how this is being defined?
So this contract encompasses all of that. So it includes the service for people standing on towers, temporary debris reduction sites where they would take the debris that's hauled to the temporary site, chip it, reload it into other trucks, which will go to a final destination site, including the very beginning of first push, where we clean the streets, push everything out of the streets, and in addition to hauling the debris to either the final site or the temporary site. So it's all encompassing.
Okay, so because that was always discussed differently or separately before, the debris management portion of it, which was the towers looking and then having the actual equipment and drivers and trucks and what, correct? That's how we discussed it in the past.
So we have two separate contracts. The other contract, which was already approved by commission, is the financial monitoring and reimbursement assistant. So I get that. I got that part. That was a whole kind of a different issue. I'm just concerned that these companies, these top companies, are far away. Alabama, Texas, Greenville, South Carolina. That we don't run into the problem that we did prior, where we had to end up, Mr. Dodge had to try to find equipment, try to find all kinds of stuff to be able to handle our debris, because the first awardees were not able to do that. So just clarify for me then and I'm glad to hear that it was Crowder Gulf, because I didn't remember that name, that you're saying that we had them and that they did a good job. So I'm glad about that. But when you're saying here to form a pool with the following contractors, but then you say in their order, so is that how a pool to me means you put them in and whoever can do it is going to do it. But this other, you're saying you go 1, 2, 3, 4, you go by ranking number first? Is that how you would go? Yes. So typically if the public services manager decided he needed additional assistance besides just the tertiary first-ranked firm, the primary ranked firm, before calling the third vendor, he should be contacting the secondary vendor to assist with those services.
And so has this Crowder Gulf or any of the top ones, D&J or any of them, have they stated that should we need their services, that which we hope we don't ever, but should we need their services, that the city of Pembroke Pines would be a priority for them, that they would not be sending their staff, their equipment somewhere else, and we may get their leftovers? How do we assure our residents that happens?
That is a good question. We did include language in our bid as requested by the City Commission. All the companies did agree and signed the agreement with the City of Pembroke Pines to provide services and treat City of Pembroke Pines as primary.
Okay, and was there also, because I don't remember, but was there also, I remember that language being discussed about being in there, being a priority. But was there also some language about penalty if in fact that didn't, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
The package does include, language about liquidated damages and, charges for the vendor failing to perform services. Off the top of my head, I don't know the specific language in it, but it was, all discussed at length with the city commission, and we went through several iterations of the package, and, the city commission agreed to that language before we put it out to bid.
Okay, and it was, if I remember correctly, it was some substantial penalty that was placed in there that they all obviously have agreed to, correct?
Yes. In addition, you also requested a payment and performance bond that's also included, and it was at one point $500,000, then it was increased to $1 million.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Further discussion, item 3. Call a roll, please.
Commissioner Seipel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Good?
Yes.
Commissioner Castillo?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz? Mayor Ordus?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. On item 12, Commissioner Castillo.
This is a motion to approve the Fourth Amendment to the agreement with Toshiba Business Solutions for one-year renewal term commencing on February 2nd, 2022, expiring February 1st, 2023, as allowed by Section 3.2 of the original agreement for an amount not to exceed $216,725.03.
Is there a second? Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Schwartz, thank you. All right, Commissioner Castillo, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Mr. Horowitz. Before, there was a speaker from a competitor who has written the city, who has communicated with the city. I need to know whether or not all legal due process that he's entitled to has been offered to him. I don't consider it an affront or this is business. I mean, the man has a point of view, the staff has a particular point of view, they don't see it the same way. That's fine. There's a process in place in every city that allows people to appeal, to come forward, to put their point of view. Sometimes we'll agree with what they have to say for good reason, and sometimes we'll disagree. I need to know, has everything legally due and owing the gentleman under our procurement laws been offered to him?
May I respond, Mayor? To the Commissioner?
Mr. Horowitz?
Thank you. Mayor, Commissioner Castillo, the short answer to your question is yes. The vendor, who we're certainly familiar with, and the gentleman who spoke earlier, did in fact submit a bid protest in response to our most recent procurement.
Okay.
The code process was followed in the context of affording him an opportunity to submit his request. It was thoroughly reviewed by staff. He did in fact appeal staff's determination to the city manager, which is every right under the city code to do.
Okay.
The manager further reviewed his appeal. The recommendation number item 18 as a result of that process is to reject all the bids. Both item 12, which is before you now, and item 18 are properly before the commission, and they meet all the legal requirements of the city code.
That was going to be my second question. And based on that, is the item in front of us properly before us?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Commissioner.
Thank you very much.
Further discussion, item 12. Hearing none, call the roll, City Clerk.
Mayor, if I may.
Commissioner Schwartz.
Thank you. We all received an email from Mr. Khan. I had some dialogue with him for tonight's meeting, copied the city attorney. Along the lines of prior questioning, I wanted to make sure that the process was followed. There were some rather disturbing allegations in the email that we had received earlier today, and I asked for additional documentation. It fell woefully short of legal sufficiency. The city attorney agreed. I'm ready to support the item.
Okay, thank you. Call the roll, please.
Mayor?
Commissioner Castillo.
I have not seen that information, so I'm going to make a motion to defer the item so that I can see the information that Commissioner Schwartz is referring to. I think that we should all be able to see the same information.
Okay, Vice Mayor, second. Discussion on referral. And deferral for what?
Next meeting.
Next meeting?
Mayor,
Okay,
Mayor, if I may.
no, the item is to defer, Commissioner. That's what we're
I
gonna do.
understand that. It's a point of clarification. I just want to make sure that we all have the same information. There wasn't anything specifically sent to me. It was sent to all of us. As a matter of fact, Commissioner Castillo was the head of the email at 3:42 today. And what I had asked for from Mr. Khan, he alleged that there was collusion by staff. He alleged that the mayor instructed staff to go out to bid. And I asked Mr. Khan to provide documentation supporting his position. I copied the city attorney on it. What Mr. Khan had sent was a copy of an email from Mr. Kefford, and he never answered the question. This item should not be deferred.
Okay, I'm gonna renew my motion to defer the item. The comment was made that information came back that the commissioner felt was legally insufficient. So I wanna be clear that it is legally sufficient, and I want us to all have the same information.
We got a yes from our
And
attorney.
that's what I'm looking for. So it's a motion to defer.
Mayor, if possible, if Mr. Horowitz can share his screen and show the email that was sent to him at 3:45 today, I think it would satisfy.
We've all seen the email.
We're all set. We've all seen the email. We're all set. Now, there's a motion to defer. Does somebody want to pull that motion?
No.
Okay. Call the roll, please, on deferral.
Commissioner Castillo?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Good?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz?
No.
Commissioner Seifel?
Yes.
Mayor Ordus?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item 16, Vice Mayor.
Let's get to the bottom of that.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Item 16, motion to accept the grant agreement between the Florida Department of Environmental Protection and the City of Pembroke Pines for a total of $200,000 for Pembroke Pines Seepage Management Stormwater Pump Station.
There's a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Seifel. Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. This is actually a really good item here, very important. I thought I'd pull it just because I think it's important for the public to be aware of what the city is doing to try to address a very serious issue for flooding within the city. And this item here speaks to the fact that we are being granted $200,000 from the state of Florida through their appropriations process in 2021. However, there is a much larger and more substantial commitment that's being made by both the city and the South Broward Drainage District, and that is that the city is contributing $525,000, $500,000, as well as the South Broward Drainage District is matching $500,000 as well. And I think it's very important to point out the collaboration and the workability between the two agencies to not only fund the project but to do the installation and to provide some substantial relief that we know that is needed in our communities, particularly in the western part of the communities that were heavily impacted. The only question that I do have on this is, who is actually going to project manage this installation?
Mr. Manager?
Mr. Kennedy, please.
Mr. Kennedy, good evening.
Carl Kennedy, city engineer. The city's receiving the grant, so we'll be managing the actual project. That's a requirement by the state. We can't delegate that to South Broward. However, they will be doing the majority of the technical work on the project.
Okay. And then once that facility is constructed, who's going to be responsible for maintenance?
South Broward will operate that facility.
So in perpetuity, they will be responsible for all maintenance costs associated with that?
Yes.
Okay, great. And we do have in the audience, the Executive Director, Kevin Hart. He's here representing South Broward Drainage District. I do want to recognize you, sir, and really thank you very much for keeping us dry and for helping direct or guide the South Broward Drainage District Commission to support this project. So, Mr. Mayor, I'm in full support. I just think it was very important for the public to know how we actually have 3 agencies here, which is the state of Florida, South Broward Drainage District, and the city of Pembroke Pines collaborating to solve a very serious flood issue that we have within our city. So thank you again.
And thank you for keeping Jim Ryan, and just kidding, I love Jim. But again, we know now what C9, C11, all of those are now.
Right.
All right,
Mayor,
let's call
that
roll,
was-
please.
Mayor, this was the item, I believe, remember Representative Barbelman came when she was giving
Correct.
some of her report and said that
Correct.
it had been approved.
Correct.
The money from the state had been approved, and then everything went forward with all of that.
City Clerk, call the roll.
She got a pump.
City Clerk, call the roll.
Truck pump.
Vice Mayor Good?
Yes.
Commissioner Seifel?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz? Commissioner,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the vote.
Did you get that vote, City Clerk?
yes,
Okay, go ahead.
What was it?
yes.
City Clerk got the.
Or
go ahead.
could you repeat your vote, Commissioner
Commissioner
Schwartz?
Schwartz?
Sure, I'm on a 3-second delay, so just have to bear with me. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Commissioner Castillo?
Yes.
Mayor Ordus?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item 18, Commissioner Castillo.
Thank you. This is a motion to reject all bids for IFB number TS 21-04 multifunction products and to authorize the advertisement of IFB TS 2201 rebid of multifunction products.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by the Vice Mayor. Go ahead, Commissioner Castillo.
Mr. Horowitz. Prior to the item, gentleman came forward to testify about it, raised several concerns. I need to ask you whether all legal due process that would be due and owing, has that been provided in this case?
Again, to the mayor, to the commissioner, the short answer is yes, and if I might also add, all of our bid specifications, including invitation to bid TS 2104, retains the right to the city commission to reject all the bids. That is the recommendation that's before you right now.
Is this item properly and legally before us?
Yes, it is, Commissioner.
Thank you.
All right, I'll call a roll, please, on item 18.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, real quick.
Sure.
So how does this impact, I noticed, I mean, we did table the prior item. If for some reason we have we support the protest, so to say, whatever, what happens then if we do this?
Mr. Mayor?
Does that make that other item null and void?
No.
City Attorney?
Mr. Mayor and Commission, this is an item to reject all the bids that were presented. There is, and I believe the city attorney will attest, since we're rejecting all bids, there's not, I guess, a legal position for challenging the bid. We're not awarding it to anybody. We're rejecting everyone's bid. The prior one, which is number 12, was to continue until the time certain where all of the other individual copying machines we have through the city, those contracts expire. So the new bid that we're putting out for 18 is to award a bid citywide, which means any one of these prior bidders, including the gentleman that spoke, certainly can bid on it. It's to have uniformity of maintenance of all our copy machines.
Okay. All right, sir, you already spoke. Anybody further on item 18? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Castillo?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Good?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz?
Yeah.
Commissioner Schwartz, can you repeat your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Seifel?
Yes.
Mayor Ordus?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. City Attorney, Addendum 1. You want to bring that up now? Go ahead.
If it's your pleasure, Mayor, Addendum
My
1.
pleasure.
If I may read the title, Mr. Mayor,
Please.
Addendum 1 is a motion to adopt Resolution 22R-02. The item is proposed Resolution 22R-02, a resolution of the City Commission, the City of Pembroke Pines, Florida, authorizing and directing the signing and submission of a grant application to the Florida Department of Transportation, that's FDOT, and the acceptance of a grant award from the FDOT and/or the purchase of vehicles and/or equipment and/or the expenditures of grant funds pursuant to a grant award, directing the appropriate city officials to take any and all action necessary to effectuate the intent of the resolution, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
So moved. Moved by Commissioner Castillo, second. Second by Commissioner Seipel. Discussion. Call the roll, please, City Clerk.
I'm sorry, who was the seconder for this item?
Commissioner Seipel.
Okay, good. Commissioner Castillo?
Yes.
Commissioner Seipel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Good?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz?
Yes.
Mayor Ordus?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. City Attorney, item 20, second reading ordinance.
Thank you, Mayor Commission. The item is a proposed ordinance, an ordinance of the City of Pembroke Pines, Florida, pursuant to Section 8.03 of the City of Pembroke Pines Charter, authorizing the sale of approximately .13 acres of unimproved real property generally located on US 27 south of Sheridan Street to O.M. Sakti Trust LLC, subject to the terms and conditions set forth in the purchase and sale agreement attached to Exhibit A, incorporated herein by reference. Authorizing the proper city officials to execute any and all documents necessary, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Seipel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Castillo. Discussion. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Seipel?
Yes.
Commissioner Castillo?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Seipel?
Yes.
Commissioner Castillo?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Good?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Commissioner, could you repeat your vote, please?
I can't believe we're having these issues. It's a yes.
Thank you.
Well, see, that one is good. So you are having an issue.
Mayor Ordus?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, item 21.
And thank you. For the record, Mayor, the ordinance number for that item is 1980.
Thank you.
Item 21 is proposed ordinance number 2128, an ordinance of the City of Pembroke Pines, Florida, amending Appendix A of Title 15, Chapter 150 of the City's Code of Ordinances by updating the building permit fee schedule attached to and incorporated herein by reference, providing for codification, conflicts, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Seipel. Is there a second?
Second.
Vice Mayor, second. Discussion. Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Seipel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Good?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz?
Yes.
Oh.
Commissioner Castillo?
Yes.
Mayor Ordus?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
For the record, Mayor Commission, final ordinance number is 1981.
Thank you. Resolution number 22, sir.
Thank you. Resolution, or item 22 is Resolution 21R56, a resolution of the City Commission, the City of Pembroke Pines, Florida, approving and authorizing the execution of the Second Amendment to the interlocal agreement with Broward County for solid waste disposal and support services attached here to Exhibit A, authorizing the city manager to take all actions necessary to effectuate the intent of the Second Amendment, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Is there a motion?
I'll move it, Mr. Mayor.
You're going to move that motion? Vice Mayor moves item 22. Is there a second? Motion dies, lack of a second. Mr. Cirillo, do you want to comment any?
Good evening. Sorry. Good evening, Mike Cirillo, City Attorney's Office. I was just here to speak on the item, the Second Amendment, this same issue we had back in November. I was available, could answer any questions. We had attempted to get additional information for the commission and bring it back before the county's deadline for January 15th. That's
all right.
Mayor, I was a second.
You were not a second, sir.
It didn't go
Mayor?
through. I seconded the item.
Mayor? You know, Mr. Dodge, get a little angry, get a little upset that we as a city, with all of our money, can have a communication system that we can hear clearly. What's that?
I don't believe that's on our side.
Well, whoever decided, I want it so that we can hear. Now we've just had an item we thought was that now going to be brought back up again. It gets a little confusing. So Commissioner Schwartz, I would ask you to speak slowly and clearly because with all due respect, Commissioner, many of your comments tonight have not come through.
Mayor?
Hold on. There's nothing on the floor right now. Hold on. So, we'll go back because we didn't hear Commissioner Schwartz. The Vice Mayor made a motion, and the Commissioner Schwartz seconded the motion. Discussion now. Go ahead, Commissioner Castillo.
Thank you very much. When this item first came up, I asked, it didn't get a second, and I asked for a workshop. In my memo to the city manager this week, I asked for a workshop. This item needs to be thoroughly and completely vetted. I don't give a rat's whatever for their deadline. In Pembroke Pines, this has to be vetted. I have very many questions, and if forced to vote on it tonight, I will vote no. So we can either agree that we're going to have a workshop with all of the necessary parties in the room so that I can hear it all at once and understand this, or I'm just going to vote it down. And it's just that simple.
Okay. Further discussion.
I didn't care for my request for a workshop to be denied or to be ignored or not acted on.
Okay, Vice
That's
Mayor.
never the way this commission has operated.
Okay, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So yes, I moved the item, not that I'm in support of the item, but because I think something has to be dispensed with this item at this point. If we had not taken any action, I got a feeling they would have been back on the next meeting and the meeting after. And my intention is to actually do something else with this. I do want to just speak about what this interlocal Second Amendment to the interlocal agreement is. This is a Broward County agreement. This is not anything that has a relationship with the Solid Waste Working Group or the regionalization of disposal. This is not a part of that process. This is a Broward County agreement with Waste Management, and what we are asking to do through the interlocal agreement is nothing more than piggybacking off an agreement. I just want to point out a few things about what's going on right now with the way that this particular agreement with the county and Waste Management is working. And it's really not Waste Management, it's more like Wheelabrator. I should say Wheelabrator, it's not Waste Management. But who's to say it won't be owned by Waste Management soon? But the issue right now is quite different than when we years ago had a disposal district that was dependent to the county. The system was set up back then where the county basically controlled the agreement for disposal, but the difference is that there were several locations where you could dispose of your solid waste. They call them transfer stations, right? And there were actually 2 burn facilities. There was a landfill. There were other places that you could just drop and it would get transported. So all the services that the cities were providing for their residents in terms of collection was seamless. It was working well, and it was cost-effective and efficient. This agreement right here brings everything to a single location in Broward County. And Commissioner Castillo, you spoke to it. You're very right in the sense that it is creating a lot of delays, and that delay is transferred back to the service level that we are providing to this city. So first and foremost, there is something substantially wrong with bringing 1.52 million tons, whatever that might be a year, to a single facility. And we're experiencing that now. The other thing is that this new agreement requires every ton that we would deliver, we would have to pay a $1.50 surcharge to it. Who's getting that money? It's paying the tipping fee plus $1.50. So that adds up to a lot of money. The other thing is that the agreement also requires the cities to pay for any additional transportation to a disposal location. So if this stuff goes to Wheelabrator and for some reason they're not functioning and it's got to go somewhere else, the current way it is that Wheelabrator would have to pay for it. In the Second Amendment, we would have to pay for it. And if they had to truck it to Okeechobee, we're paying a transport, and we have no say in that. And so that's probably part of my issue here is that we have not been at the table on this. This is not our agreement. We don't get to say nothing. So this agreement, this Second Amendment, really doesn't begin until, I believe it's July of 2023. We're January of 22. And it doesn't preclude us from actually joining it at some later time. Yeah. Remember, we entered into the third year of the First Amendment with no problem. All we had to do was say, yep, we agree to your terms. So I don't know that this is timely for us at this point. You know, I think the workshop is fine. There's more conversation and things of that nature on what can this city do, you know, in terms of, you know, in the short term, and what can the city do in the long term. And then we need to take into consideration of what the Solid Waste Working Group and that full body is looking to do in terms of a solid waste disposal solution. To me, we have a year and a half to make this decision. So me having made my comments, one of the things I think that we could do at this point is just defer this for at least another 8 months before it even comes back to us.
Second. Further discussion?
Are you seconding, or are you giving us an opportunity to second?
No, I second.
Oh, you did? Oh, I was going to second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But
I have a question.
Are we seconding Vice Mayor's motion? Did he actually make a motion?
Yes.
Because we have a.
Yes.
We have a motion on the
Yes.
floor. Okay.
Okay.
Can we have a workshop as well?
That's not an emotion. Commissioner Schwartz,
thank you.
Folks.
I'd like to hear from the city manager.
Commissioner Schwartz, please, start over again.
Yes, I'd like to have the city manager weigh in on two items, if you could, Mr. Dodge. One, the item as it's in the agenda, and two, the direction that the commission wants to delay by 8 months. This is where you have to make a decision to guide us tonight, sir.
Mr. Dodge.
Okay. Mayor and Commission, I first like to address the issue where Commissioner Castillo asked for a workshop. I didn't feel, based upon what was being asked for us in this resolution and from the county to provide them at a time certain with an answer, that I would have the authority to do so. And I knew it would be brought up this evening with the possibility that that could happen. Regarding the time frame, I think if we go back in history to maybe the 80s when we had a very similar situation where every city in Broward was asked to join the coalition for joining a solid waste, I guess you could call it a consortium, where this city and three other cities chose not to. It was Hallandale, Dania Beach, ourselves, and Pompano Beach. But at that time, we had another alternative on the table. We had been negotiating with a company called Rooter Recycling, and that was something that this community, as well as a few other communities, felt was important because it was primarily a recycling facility whereby the majority of the garbage was recycled, turned to compost. the process worked. The problem was that there was an issue with the water table, and it created an odor, so it had to be shut down. But we still operated as a transfer station there. That ended December 31st. So we had to look for another option, and we chose, this commission chose to go to Wheelabrator. Now, the county's coming back, and there's an awful lot on the table, and I think when Vice Mayor Good mentioned that we're not there yet, the county's not there. I'm simply bringing this forward to you because this is what the county is asking for. And it's not going to happen overnight. I don't know if 8 months is the number. I don't know if 3 months is the number, but I still do believe there's time. We have the current agreement goes to 2023.
Okay.
That we're currently in. They're asking for an amendment to move this to 2028. I think if a working group of municipalities get together to form some other form of consortium, whether it ends up being an independent district or a dependent district, whatever that conclusion may be, there's probably not going to be a facility available much before 2028 if they're lucky to get it built by then. So delaying it, I don't see as a problem, but it wasn't my decision to, it wasn't a decision that I can make on my own without bringing it before the commission.
Further
That's why you
discussion?
have it before you this evening.
Further discussion on the floor?
Yes.
Vice Mayor?
Yes.
Vice Mayor, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I thank you. One of the things that we could probably, it's not just about, having an immediate solution. It's also about how can we participate in this process? I mean, if there's an opportunity also for us to be able to work with the county and say, hey, listen, some of these things we might not be able to agree to, how can we work this out? That's another option. And part of that could be like right now, I mean, we currently are in a agreement with them. We have we're in the First Amendment, and we sent all of our stuff there, and we know that it's not working well for us. I mean, maybe if we could start working with them now, asking them, can they release us from some pieces of that agreement now so that we can at least allow our service level to be improved? That might be an opportunity for them to show faith that, that they're willing to work with us.
Mr. Mayor?
Manager,
if I may,
process of discussion.
if I may address, Vice Mayor, we have done that. We are making progress, in particular for our bulk. We've been in touch with the county, and I believe they're allowing us an alternative site that EWS would be permitted to go to, so that we have made some strides there. So that may be helpful to us, but I don't have a definitive answer yet. It doesn't address the residential garbage, only the bulk and yard waste.
That's correct. We've been having conversations with the county administration, the county attorney's, Mike Cirillo, city attorney's office, on that issue for bulk. And they're working with us to amend the current situation to allow us to take at least the bulk to a different facility, and we are working to get those approvals with the county. We've been in touch with them as recently as this afternoon.
Further reason to defer.
Can I
Commissioner
ask a
Castillo,
question?
thank you.
So Vice Mayor, I agree with everything you said till you got to 8 months, and I need you to, so how did you pick 8 months? Are you saying not to exceed 8 months? In other words, the deferral could be brought back if the manager was ready before then, or the commission was ready before then? Well, explain to me the 8 month thing that you're thinking about. That's the part I didn't get in your motion.
So I may have probably should have said a year and a half and not 8 months. I should have taken us all the way up to the termination date of the current First Amendment. But I gave 8 months only because I'm thinking that within 8 months, I think that there's going to be at least enough substantive information available to us to be able to look at this regionalization and to find out whether we should commit ourselves to the county or should we reserve ourselves for what the regional solution is going to be.
So so I just need to understand your motion. So if within the 8 months, we have the substantive information to move in a decided direction, which isn't to say that everyone would agree, but that we have the information that's necessary, this deferral doesn't require us to wait an exact 8 months. Your motion.
And I'm okay with that, yes.
Right, okay. So it's not a hard 8 months, it's up to 8 months.
It wasn't part of the deferral.
Yeah,
So I wanted to ask you, so in part of the due diligence that you mentioned, would that include the workshop that I'm asking for with all the parties involved so that we can ask the questions and begin this discussion, or?
Well, I would hope that we have that workshop in advance of us having to see this again.
My question was, was that assumed in your motion as well?
Assumed.
Okay, so we're gonna have the workshop as part of your motion, and it wouldn't be to exceed 8 months. Now, at that workshop, I would need to have everyone involved present. The county, the Wheelabrator people, the Carters, everyone who's involved. We would need to be there because this is a far-reaching issue, as you know, as you well laid out. And every party that touches that incinerator in Pembroke Pines needs to be in the room so that we can ask the questions. Because if you don't form a team around this effort, the logistics fall apart, which is what we currently have right now. It simply does not work. It's fractured, which is why I've been voting against it. So I'm okay. I'm okay with the motion, so long as it puts us on a direction to answer the questions. Thank you.
Yes, I have a question for Mr. Cirillo, just a clarification. And you, Mike, you said, Mr. Cirillo, you said something about that you've been working for, and we're talking about bulk, for a second location for drop-off. Did I hear you correctly, or did you say a location?
Mike Cirillo, City Attorney's Office. We've been actually having contact with the county to change the location, to remove bulk from the system and to take it to a different location, which we're looking to get authority to do, and doing that within the current time frame and not waiting till the end of the current agreement. So we would be removing. Right now, we've checked all the boxes, right, in the First Amendment, and one of those boxes is bulk. And the county, we've been having conversations with the county to amend that First Amendment to remove bulk from it, and in conjunction with that, to also get the confirmation from the county and Wheelabrator that would allow us to take that bulk that we removed from that system to a different location.
And not an option to have Wheelabrator and a second location, but just a brand-new location?
I'd have to defer to the city manager, but I believe it's to replace it, take it out of the Wheelabrator system.
Okay. Yes, it is looking to take it out of that system. Right now, Wheelabrator doesn't accept the bulk anyways.
Right.
They transmit it to a different location,
Right.
and that's the one that got bogged down when we first started.
Okay.
I would like to say at this point, though, for both companies, I know for Waste Pro, their operation, even in spite of some of these drawbacks, have been doing very well. They notify us on a daily basis if there's one or two communities that didn't pick up. Today, they completed everything, and there's a lot of challenges they have. Bulk has an awful lot of challenges, not even considering their labor issues, but just operational to get
I understand that.
debris to a location.
Right. I just didn't understand if he was saying one location as opposed to offering up a second location. Okay.
Further discussion on deferral. City Clerk, call the roll, please.
Vice Mayor Good?
Yes.
Commissioner Seifel?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz?
Yes.
Commissioner Castillo?
Yes.
Mayor Ordus?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, reports of the league. Today, I was zoomed in on 4 meetings. Advocacy Committee of the Florida League, the presentation of the league as to what is happening in Tallahassee.
Yeah.
Don't forget, today is the second day of the legislature, and already there are bills being proposed, some which have no committees, but one that have been, dispensed instead of 3 and 4 committees. They are after us.
Yeah.
They're trying to regulate us, and it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen unless we say it's not going to happen. We need everybody to lobby that legislature. It's an unfunny legislature. They said they weren't going to do much because it's a re-election year. Well, right now, they're not keeping their word. So, anything else, Commissioner Seifel?
No, it's just that they're just hitting hard on everything. Everything. You think some things are safe and sacred or what have you, but there is nothing that's really safe up there. They're just really going after everything, and this whole city's, home rule is just, it's like such an evil word up there now. It's horrible, and we're not getting a lot of support. So it's going to mean a lot of work from individuals, to get their message across to those that we elect to represent us up there, that, how hard we need them to fight for certain things. So,
all right.
Yeah.
City Attorney. Your report.
Okay, I defer to the manager if you'd like to give his report first.
I have nothing, Mayor.
I'll tell you. City Manager, do you have a report?
No, Mayor.
Good. City Attorney?
Thank you, Mayor, Commission. Just very briefly, if I may. Last week, the City Attorney's Office shared a memorandum with the Mayor and the Commission regarding our agreements with Con Edison and BGA Incorporated regarding some roof repairs that they've been doing on the charter school roofs in association with the energy savings agreements that we have with both vendors. We've had some issues, we know, with the roofing, and Mr. Cirillo is here to speak to some of the details as it relates to those specific relationships. But the memorandum we provided does outline a number of issues regarding the specific work that was performed by the contractors in conjunction with special counsel that we've worked with regarding potential construction litigation in adverse to Con Edison and the other vendor BGA. We've looked at a number of different issues in the context of defective coating that was placed on the roofs. Working with our special counsel and a roofing expert who's been assisting in evaluating the matter, we have some specific concerns in the context of recovery and damages the city may be entitled to, and we're asking the City Commission's authorization, if it's recommended by our special counsel and all the pieces fall into place, to file a lawsuit against potentially both parties to seek to recover whatever damages the city might otherwise be legally entitled to.
So moved.
Second.
You want item 23, City? Okay.
Yes, Mayor, Commission.
Moved by Commissioner Castillo, second by Commissioner Seifel. Discussion.
Yes, Mayor Schwartz.
Commissioner Schwartz, you have a discussion?
Yes, if Mr. Cirillo can come to the mic.
Good evening, Mike Cirillo, City Attorney's Office.
Mr. Cirillo, good evening. You and I had a lengthy conversation today regarding this item, correct?
Yes, that's correct, sir.
Filing against their insurance company would be the first step that you guys would take?
Well, we are going to be suing the companies for breach of contract, at least in consultation with our special counsel. That's what they're recommending. We did look at the contract with Dan Rothstein today as far as their liabilities under the contract, and feel that they would bear that if the work was faulty.
And according to my notes, the last communication with the vendor was July of last year?
That's correct. We had sent them a notice of default and request to remedy the defects. We did not hear from them, so we sent them a second note with a copy of the first note to see if we could get a response from them, and that's when we got the response denying any liabilities. And that was when we decided. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's okay. I kind of stepped on you. My question is, if we want to preserve our rights for statute of limitations, is there anything that we could file with the court and continue discussions without going full-blown litigation that may require both parties basically not to talk to each other from that point forward?
No,
Perhaps,
in order to preserve,
perhaps filing mediation of sorts?
I think one of the issues that we have is there are some dates pending. What you can do is you can file a complaint and, seek if the other side wants to defer any litigation expenses and see if they want to go to mediation first. But, in order to preserve a statute of limitations, it's obviously it could be waived. We'd have to go through a process to get them to waive that. I don't know if that would be done in a timely fashion, and given the response that they gave us the first time, I don't know if we have any confidence they would do so. We don't really want to, overly discuss any defenses they may have, but we do believe we're timely now if we get the direction from the commission tonight to move forward.
Yep. Okay, and city manager, we have roofs that are in need of replacement. So are we in a financial position to do that in order to mitigate any further damage that may occur on the interior of the buildings?
City manager?
We have, during this process, since the Con Edison and their subcontractor never respond to us over time, we did make necessary repairs in order to avoid any damages to the interior of the building.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have on this item.
All right, further discussion.
Mr. Mayor.
Vice Mayor.
So we did this through ESCO type arrangement?
I believe so, yes.
So
this is one component of many things that they may have done.
Sure. And how many year payback was it for the entire project then?
I will tell you in a
I think
second.
it was around 13 or 14 years. As you know, you've taken action prior to this. Lisa Chung made a recommendation, and we're actually doing an audit on those particular savings that we were supposed to receive regarding the energy efficiency, the air conditioners, including the roofs.
So I think they got, like, if I'm not mistaken, so you have measurement and verification.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This is part of what the guarantee is?
I believe so, yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, and we're auditing that now.
Right. But is this part of the measurement and verification, or is this a stipulated item?
When you say stipulated item?
It's independent from that, Commissioner.
Mm-hmm.
This has to deal with performance, workmanship, and what was supposed to be built. They're two different issues.
Right, but it was still put under a stipulated...
In other words, there was a performance criteria that as far as energy cost, what we were paying for those facilities, that the work that they did, we would recover and pay no more than what we had been based upon the use of the facilities.
Okay. Okay, Vice Mayor?
I thank you.
All right. Call a roll, please, City Clerk.
Commissioner Castillo?
Yes.
Commissioner Seipel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Good?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz?
Yes.
Mayor Ordus?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. I'm going to hand the gavel over to the Vice Mayor, and I'll bring up item 24, discussion with possible action to approve a co-sponsorship and funding for a table of 8 at the Prestige Club's Speakeasy Grand Gala, Saturday, January 22nd, amount of $1,500.
Should you make a motion?
I did.
Okay, second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Seipel. Any comments, questions, discussion? Not hearing none?
Anybody wants to go, just call.
Can we have a roll call, City Clerk?
Mayor Ordus?
Yes.
Commissioner Seipel?
Yes.
Commissioner Castillo?
Yeah.
Vice Mayor Good?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz? Motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you all. Good meeting. Appreciate everybody coming out. Be careful, please.
Mayor and Commission, you realize we need to stay here for a few minutes as soon as everyone leaves.
We got a shade meeting. Everybody out.